o'clock having arrived, the Santa Cruz City Council will be in order and the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members Newsom,
Present.
Brown,
Here.
Watkins is absent. Councilmember Brunner is absent. Kalantari Johnson,
Present.
Vice Mayor Golder is absent, and Mayor Cooley.
Present. We have established a quorum, and in order for folks to understand how we did that, I am going to call on the city attorney with regard to establishing this quorum. Mr. City Attorney, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, Mayor Keeley, members of the City Council. I need to ask the council for authorization for Councilmember Brown to attend the meeting remotely pursuant to recent changes in the Brown Act that were brought about by SB 2449. That requires council approval, and the basis for doing so is that Councilmember Brown is under the weather today. I also need to ask Councilmember Brown to verify who is present in her remote location.
Councilmember Brown, good morning. First of all, we are sorry that you are under the weather. We are pleased that you'll be able to join us. The city attorney has asked if there is anyone present with you at this moment.
I am home at my personal residence, and no one else is here, including anyone under the age of 18.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney.
Then by motion, I would ask the council to authorize the
Record will reflect that Councilmember Brunner has arrived. We now have a quorum present in the City Council chambers. You need a motion, a second, and the nature of that motion is?
Authorize remote appearance by Councilmember Brown.
Motion by Councilmember Newsom, second by Councilmember Kalantari Johnson. Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmembers Newsom,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Kalantari Johnson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Golder is absent, and Mayor Cooley.
Aye, motion passes and so ordered. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Statements of disqualification. Any member have a statement of disqualification they wish to make? Seeing and hearing none. Excuse me. Excuse me. We are now on public comment regarding closed session. This would be the opportunity for anyone who is with us in chambers today or anyone who is online to make a comment on our closed session agenda. That closed session includes a conference with legal counsel, 2 claims against the city, a public employee performance evaluation, conference with legal counsel regarding St. George, and conference with legal counsel with exposure to significant litigation. Anyone wish to comment on those items before we go to closed session? Ms. Bush, do we have anyone online who wishes to comment?
No one online, no.
All right. What we're going to do is we will now adjourn into our closed session. We will return from closed session no earlier than 12:30 p.m. We will come back into session and proceed with the balance of our agenda. At this point, we stand adjourned into closed session.
Recording stopped.
The hour of 12:30 having arrived, the City Council of the City of Santa Cruz will come into session and the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmembers Newsom,
Present.
Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Watkins is absent. Councilmember Brunner,
Present.
Kalantari Johnson,
Present.
Vice Mayor Golder,
Here.
and Mayor Cooley.
Here, having established a quorum, Mr. City Attorney, would you speak to the issue of our council member online? Thank you.
Yes, recent changes to state law provided a method by which a council member who is unable to attend due to an illness or some other personal reason can attend remotely with the approval of the city council. And prior to going into closed session this afternoon, by motion, the council authorized Council Member Brown, who is feeling under the weather, to attend remotely.
And I will point out that Member Brown is actually physically present in City Hall. She is sitting, however, out of an abundance of kindness to all of us, rather than getting us all sick, rather than sit in her normal seat, she's actually sitting in the mayor's office, joining us remotely. So she's here in City Hall, but out of an abundance of caution and kindness to all of us and our health, Councilmember Brown. So welcome. We hope you feel better soon, but we are very happy that you're here today. We are sad that Councilmember Watkins not join us today, and we wish her the very best. We're on oral communications. This is the opportunity for anyone to address the City Council on a matter under our jurisdiction, not on today's agenda, for a period of time not to exceed 2 minutes. Welcome. Good afternoon. The Prince of Surf is welcome.
Good afternoon, Gregory Cole, architect here. I've been stamping dreams for over 50 years. As City Council, you are the conscience of Santa Cruz and have the opportunity to stamp this city's dream and make it come true. That's what I'm asking of you. You passed this resolution in 2016 supporting the walkway all the way to the point at San Lorenzo River mouth. The state's current proposal does not allow this to happen, particularly for the physically impaired. Seabright Association's alternative allows a gentle walkway, a gentle walkway to the point as you have recommended in your resolution. I encourage your support for the Seabright Association's alternative, not the state's. You need to make it very clear to the state that their proposal is not acceptable. They are used to designing campsites. Our goal should be a beautiful emerald urban park, a big difference. We can design and build a solution which will last 100 years. My stamp shows that I can say that statement. You've been there. From the point you see all the elements that are important in our little beloved town. This photograph, let me think. Yes. This photograph shows enthusiastic support for important Santa Cruz anchors that you will recognize. I believe we're looking at least $600 million here. The cost of this park is not out of the city's pocket. I can almost guarantee that right now. The cost of this park is 1/8 of 1% of this net worth right here. Pocket change, trust me, we can achieve this. I can't just, okay.
Take a couple seconds and wrap up. That's
It's
fine.
okay?
You're doing fine.
Okay. We don't need money, we need clarity. We need a chosen solution, a master plan where we know where we're going. It will include your overlook. In your book, that's this book I provided you with last time, it has this chip, and it shows in this chip cities from around the world that are accomplishing the same sort of things that we should accomplish here, but we have a golden opportunity that can do much better. And believe it or not, we have the money to do it, not out of the city's budget. That is my belief.
Mr. Cole, thank you very much for being
welcome.
here.
Thank you.
And
I'll keep trying.
we appreciate your good work. I know that earlier this year, Councilmember Bruner and I attended a meeting in the neighborhood you're talking about, and I'm sure Councilmember Bruner will be following up. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Oh, I included a resolution in the book, which I'd like you to consider as a city council resolution to the state.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Appreciate your good work over the years on this. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome.
I should be at 1:45 with luck. Good afternoon, Mayor Keeley, Vice Mayor Golder, and members of the Santa Cruz City Council and staff. My name is Kevin Cummings, a longtime St. George resident. I want to begin by expressing my gratitude of your leadership in passing the ordinance that caps our rent at 10% annual increase. Your decision prioritizes people over profit and protects Santa Cruz residents, veterans, seniors, and individuals with disabilities who make up much of the community at St. George Apartments. Regrettably, your reward for doing what is right for our city has been a lawsuit filed by GVC St. George, an LLC formed by Green Valley Corporation. Let us not forget that this is the same corporation already associated with the largest settlement for violations of AB 1482, the Tenant Protection Act. Their lawsuit, like their history, tells us a clear story about their priorities. And unfortunately, community well-being does not seem to be one of them. The declaration from Patrick Prindle, submitted as part of their legal action, speaks volumes, not for what it says, but for what it omits. Nowhere does it mention the veterans who serve this country, the elderly who have built their lives here, or the disabled residents who rely on housing stability. It seems their sole concern is the bottom line. Let's be clear, GVC St. George is not arguing they are losing money. The evidence strongly suggests they are making a more than fair profit and have been doing so for decades. Their grievance appears to be that their profit is not as high as they anticipated due to the ordinance. It's hard to compare that frustration to the life-altering impact unchecked rent increases would have on residents. Your motivation as a council has been entirely selfless. You saw a community in need of and acted to protect it. Thank you for standing with us while GVC St. George may prioritize profits, you have chosen to prioritize people. Thank you for your time. Go Santa Cruz Warriors.
Dawn, now you've said the right things. Very good. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. Do we have anyone online?
We do.
What we're going to do now is we're going to take someone online, then we'll be with you, sir, and we'll talk back and forth. So we'll be right with you. Person online, good afternoon, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Hey, while I wonder if the city got the message of November 5th, I would comment on Anna Estu's long speech last meeting where she commented, "We will get through this." What she referred to is the resounding national defeat of the Democratic Party. I predict, no, you won't get through it because of what it did and what it stood for. Progressive DNC is finished, and Biden's pardons make the DNC look like thieves and crooks. Minus this realization, Santa Cruz will rapidly just become a politically out-of-touch shrinking puddle of leftist blue goo that hasn't figured it out yet. The American people have made it clear that they won't have open borders. We will have law and order. We will have national sovereignty. America first is the priority. Sanctuary cities will be going bye-bye. Criminal illegals will be deported, as in deportar es muy bueno ice baby. Woke ideology is dead. Personal pronouns are ridiculous. It's now obvious that generating hate by dividing people by race and gender won't ever again get to pretend it's justice. DEI is DOA. Merit is back, and the socialist cesspool of government dependence will end. Socialist equity discrimination is now known as economic madness. Censorship is dying. The lying legacy media is done. Government bureaucracy bloat will be trimmed. The horror of sexualization and sexual mutilation of children will cease. There will be no more abuse of women by men pretending to be women in bathrooms or women's sports. You stop saying the Pledge of Allegiance here because you don't care to audibly affirm loyalty to the American principle. Instead, you worship the trans BLM flag, which disrespected that American flag by violating American flag display protocol. Look it up. You poisoned the Mooney Code with anti-white systemic discrimination by enacting the globalist health and all policies doctrine. You went all in on the Green New Scam, even though not a particle of those authoritarian ideas will control climate, but they sure will have considerable detrimental effect on the economy and individual rights. Yes, we the people are now, we the people are now, yes, we the people are now unburdening what has been. It's time to turn the page. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Phillip. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome.
Hello, Santa Cruz. I'm Patrick Kittle. Haven't been here since before COVID. And a consistent message that I've had is basically concerned with conservation, although I get accused of evil motives for bringing up the fact that you can't have endless growth in a finite place. And by having a sanctuary city, you are in effect inviting everyone on earth to move here. If anybody doubts that, let me hear about it. But it's pretty simple math. You're inviting everyone on earth to move here and reward them once they get here. If I say anything like that, I'm a bad person. Ooh, I'm a hater, I'm blah, blah, blah. Well, I care about the forest. That's why I moved to Santa Cruz. And I see it being chipped away endlessly. I see buildings going 14 stories high in a downtown where we were assured that 3 stories was the height limit. I knew damn well that wasn't going to be the case. Our green belt is being chipped away. I told people decades ago that was going to happen. It's inevitable because you're inviting everyone on earth to move here. You got a traffic nightmare. Well, you widen a road, and by the time it's widened, you're right back where you started. You got to really be honest about this. You can't invite everyone on earth to move here. It's got nothing to do with hate. It just has to do with simple arithmetic. You can't have endless growth in a finite place. I know none of you are listening to me, but I'll say it anyway. You can't have endless growth in a finite place, and you should behave accordingly.
For your testimony. Ms. Bush, do we have anyone else online?
We do.
We'll take the next person online. Good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting.
Good afternoon, Mayor Keeley and Council. I actually wanted to speak on 2 items on the consent agenda. Is this the appropriate time, or will you pull those items so I can comment on them?
What we'll be glad to do is you stay online, and we will go to you when we get to the consent agenda item. And thank you for calling in.
It's 2 separate items. Will I be able to comment on both of them?
Let me ask you this question. Are they on the consent agenda?
Yes, they're both on the consent agenda, items
Yes.
22 and 27.
Yes, you will have time to comment on both of those items. If you have 2 items, or if you have 22 items on consent, you'll have a period of time to comment on both of those. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Ewing, good afternoon. Welcome to the City Council meeting.
Go by Mr. Ewing.
Good
My name is
afternoon,
James
sir.
Ewing. Good afternoon. I'm glad to see you here. Hopefully you're all chipper. Sandy, sorry that you're in the building. I hope you feel better. And it's nice to see you too here, Tony Condotti. So there's really so much to comment on. I don't even know where to begin. Speaking in a supervisor's meeting, I think I was nicer than usual or funnier than usual. I don't know. So some previous comments, I quite often referred to architectural plans as the funny papers. Sometimes you had to go through 5 different pages to find one particular point. But I guess that was my job, to find a particular point to go over. And I do think all the commentary that was really kind of one-sided about maybe the downfall and weakening of the Democratic Party. But it seems like the gerrymandering and the voter fraud has allowed an equal amount of people in Congress, 215. So, I think that if the Democratic Party has some serious problems and is at the bottom of the barrel, they share that with the Republican Party. They do, for reasons I don't have time to go into. So it's just kind of fascinating with all the different events going on, and 2 commentators, David Devine and Ransom Christos Godwin, did a really excellent recap of the past couple years, 10 years, and a few insights as what they felt were the next innings coming now that we have a different puppet in the White House. And it's really kind of quite dark. That's mini Ice Age conversations with David Devine and Ransom Christos Godwin. We found on Revolution Radio. It's a live broadcast on Thursdays from 10 to midnight Eastern Standard Time. And that's enough for now. It's nice to see all of you. Cold this morning.
It is warm in here. You're exactly right. I think it's all these warm, good hearts and good tidings we have. That must be it. All right, further. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. I might run just a scotch over, but not very long, I promise. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Sean Williamson. I'm a resident here. I live over on the west side. I have spent the better part of 2 years working with members of City Council to help reform the way we deal with organic material waste here in Santa Cruz. A group consisting of city staff, state experts, concerned citizens, and supportive council members would meet periodically to discuss our current strategy, its shortcomings, and alternative options moving forward about how to effectively manage organic material waste here in the city. Ultimately, the decision was left to a person who was only able to make it to one out of the numerous in-person and Zoom meetings that this group was able to have in the last 18 months. He did what most humans would do when faced with a decision that would negatively affect his budget, and he squashed it. The technical memo that was produced made it pretty apparent that the author was not familiar with the full scope of the meetings and what alternatives had been proposed. Revenue to the city was cited as chief concern. Plenty of voices in the meetings, including those of council, expressed concern for the manner in which we dispose of organic material here in the city of Santa Cruz. My understanding is that Resource Recovery essentially stated that because the city's strategy is currently legal, that they were not interested in exploring alternate options for mitigating our organic material. Garbage feeding, which is the term the USDA uses to describe our current practice, was outlawed in 23 states as of 2019. The practice is horrific. They tip dumpsters from grocery stores and other commercial producers of organic waste, plastic trash bags and miscellaneous refuse and all, into an auger system out at Demio. This garbage-filled concoction gets ground down into a mash that must be trucked to Santa Clara for further processing. You will find no such evidence of this if you visit the city website. The fact is that when this system was introduced, they advertised that the plan was to use this organic material to create electricity at the wastewater treatment plant at Neary Lagoon. My understanding is that this plan has long been abandoned, yet it still remains on the website as of last night. My understanding is that Plan A, B, and C is to continue to pay this outfit to haul this mash over the hill. This expensive and resource-intensive option was what initially led to us coming together to explore alternative methods for an organic waste management system. I have requested the ability to take video of this process at Demio to substantiate my claims, but as of this meeting, that request has not been granted. My public comment and my request is this. Let us please not lose this momentum to do something good for the people and the land of this beautiful city, especially when the only thing standing in our way is one person's negative incentive to maintain the status quo. This problem only gets worse and more expensive with time, and this is especially true for a city that is looking to add as many residents as we are. We have the opportunity to lead by example, and my hope is that you continue to join me in that endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here, sir. Ms. Bush, anyone else online? We'll take the next person online. Good afternoon. Welcome to the City Council meeting. Person online, good afternoon.
Hello, Mayor Keeley. Hello, Council. It's Bradley Snyder. I was very heartened by Chancellor LaRive and Jimmy Panetta talking about medical education at UCSC. I've complained in front of this body many times about how UCSC increasingly seems to squeeze out local opportunities and local potential. And it actually is something they've studied where communities and neighborhoods near large educational institutions such as UCSC, people have poor long-term financial health. But one thing that I think is really, really important to consider, and it's obviously not something the city has much to say about. I hope the university goes through with it, dedicating part of the university to medical studies would displace a lot of other study programs, even though the university has the 10 different colleges in their layout, in their system, the style of university. Very few of those individual colleges perhaps have the infrastructure for medical studies. But Panetta's right. Congressman Panetta is right. There is a physician shortage on the West Coast, in California, in the county, in the Bay Area, and in general. It's necessary, and I feel that they should move forward with it. There's 10 colleges. There's Stevenson. There's Kresge, I don't think is being renamed, Porter, Oaks, Lewis. There's, all of the different colleges. Any one of them would be suitable for medical studies. Thank you. I'm going over. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Anyone else online, Ms. Bush?
No.
Anyone else wish to provide comment on oral communication? Seeing and hearing none. We are on presiding officer announcements, and more or less, I don't have any, except I will use this last meeting of the year before we adjourn into our January 2025 process. On behalf of my colleagues, I want to thank all of the folks who work in this wonderful little government of ours, from executive management all the way through every single employee that works in this government. I've worked in a lot of governments, had the great privilege of being able to do that. This is a wonderful little government. People, it's human scale. People are very interested in problem solving in very creative and interesting ways. Employees are so dedicated to this city and the people who live here and the taxpayers who pay the bill for this. So if others, I will open this up to comment actually, but I want to, on behalf of my colleagues, thank every person who draws a paycheck from this city government and all of the fine work that you do every year. These kinds of expressions of our thanks and appreciation need to always be associated with other forms of thanks and appreciation, and we understand that. But we cannot say it often enough, I think, that 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, this little government works to provide a community which is safe and thriving and healthy and getting better every day. And hopefully that reflects the values of the voters and the residents of this community. But thank you very much, city employees and everyone who works in this government. Let me see if there are any statements of disqualification. Anybody need to make one? All right, we're good. Additions and deletions, Ms. Bush.
Thank you, Mayor. The agenda was posted last Thursday, and since then, there are 2 items that have been decided to remove at this time. The first one is item number 19, which is the acceptance of the proposal and budget initiation of new enterprise resource planning software solution. And then item 28, the 190 West Cliff Drive item.
So items 19 and 28 are pulled from today's agenda.
Yes.
So if you were here to testify on either of these, wish to make comment, they are not on today's agenda. They will be presumably on a future agenda. We'll hear your comments at that time. Mr. City Attorney, report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Keeley, members of the City Council. This is a closed session report. The council met in closed session at 11 a.m. this morning to consider several matters. First matter was a conference with legal counsel concerning liability claims. The claimant name of Morgan Thomas Maher. That is also listed as number 15 on your consent calendar this afternoon for council action. Second item was a public employee performance evaluation / conference with labor negotiators. And that was a discussion by the council of the city manager position. Third item was 2 pending litigation matters. First was entitled GVC St. George LLC versus the City of Santa Cruz, currently pending in the United States District Court in San Jose. Second item was Regents of the University of California versus the City of Santa Cruz, pending in the Santa Cruz County Superior Court. Last item was a conference with legal counsel concerning anticipated litigation. Council met in closed session to discuss a matter involving significant exposure to litigation, and there was no reportable action on any of those items.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Item 5, Ms. Bush, do you have anything to draw to our attention with regard to future council meeting agendas?
I do not, no.
Very good, thank you. We're on the consent agenda. For those of you unfamiliar with it, we will be taking up items 6 through 25 inclusively on one motion. Before we do that, I will ask council members if they have, want to pull an item, to comment on an item, or to ask a question on the item. I will then go out to the public, same thing. You will have, you'll have up to 3 minutes to comment on any and all items on the agenda, not 3 minutes on each item. All items on the consent agenda, 3-minute period of time to comment. I'm going to start with Councilmember Newsom. I will go to Councilmember Brown, then work my way around the dais, and then we'll go out to you on the public. Mr. Newsom on the consent agenda, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 quick comments on 2 items.
Go ahead and make them.
Thank you. On item 12, I just want to thank my colleagues, Mayor Keeley and Councilmember Brown, for bringing this item forward. As I said at our last meeting, the Homeless Garden Project does wonderful work in our community, lifting up our most vulnerable through providing jobs and job training. So I'm very happy to support this item, and thank you. Item 21, really happy to see this item on our agenda, and I want to thank Director Gwynn, Assistant Director Crossley, and the rest of their team for your outstanding work on this project and for helping the homeowner through this process. Really happy to see that this project's completed and the final results. So, thank you.
Councilmember Brown, good afternoon on the consent agenda.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. I would just echo the comments of Councilmember Newsom on item 12, the Homeless Garden Project fee waiver. I so appreciate you, Mayor, for submitting this on our behalf, and just want to thank my colleagues for being so supportive of this project as it moves forward. And also on item 21, I want to just shout out to Public Works. Thank you for really going the extra mile on making this project happen. And I also do have some questions on item 9. I'm going to go back here with my questions on records retention. I appreciate the very thorough overview of the changes proposed here. And I'm a little concerned about some of the items retention period. And I'm just wondering about, advisory bodies in particular. It feels like having the recordings for longer than the 3-year period would benefit already. As a scholar, I'm always interested in archives and wanting them to be there for future exploration. And so I just, I'm wondering if there's any possibility to, think about just some flexibility on the retention of those records. I understand why the city wants to make these adjustments, and some of them are really clean up here. But it just feels like there's a couple of places where we would benefit from maintaining those records. So I'm not sure if, Bonnie, Ms. Bush, this was your item, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but just wondering about the advisory body retention in particular.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. A lot of those items are based on state law. So if we made any adjustments to advisory bodies, it was most likely because, one, our agenda management system retains items longer than it's required, or at the minimum state law requirement.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll just say, it would be a shame to lose some of those records, and if there's a way to make them accessible to folks in the future, I'd love to see it and understand the need to conform to state law. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Madam Vice Mayor, on the consent. Councilmember Kalantari Johnson on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Yeah, a brief comment on item 10, that's certification of November 5th, 2024 general election and the passing of Measure Z. Just want to acknowledge the hard-fought passing of Measure Z and thank the community for putting health before anything else.
Very good. Councilmember Brunner. on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess some of my comments and have been already addressed. So my additional comment would be on item 20, which is grant funds to be awarded for funding to support pedestrian and bicycle safety programs within schools and the community. And I know this is a really important topic, at least that I hear in my district. And I just want to thank our city manager and principal management analyst, Catherine Brothers, and Chief of Police, Bernie Escalante, for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. On items 16 and 20, if we could pull those off consent, we'll take them up. I have some questions and comments. We'll take them up after the consent agenda and prior to the consent agenda public hearing. Anyone who's with us wish to make comment on the one or more items on the consent agenda? Mr. Ewing, good afternoon, sir. 3 minutes.
Minutes again on each item? No, I would like to make comments on.
I must say, after 24 months of this, I do enjoy your persistence on it, though. I will say that.
Wish there were more. It's lonely, maybe. I feel selfish. I'm having so much fun. So items number 6, 7, 8, 19. 19 has been pulled.
Yes, sir.
6 is the bail schedule, so I understand at least that the overnight parking tickets can increase from 50 to 150, enough on that. Number 7, the extent of the winter storms. I mean, why not? You know, I've had the pleasure to meet several grant writers recently, and they're fun. You guys have something in common with them, and that's they disagree with about 95% of what I'm presenting, or I disagree with 95% of what they're pushing. So I'm going to talk about the minutes. It was really quite fascinating. I enjoyed the Zoom of Anna Ashu. She's a funny lady. I met her in '98, was in charge of a project, and I was called in to do some specialized demo work, but it was easier to demo everything than to fix what they had asked to be done. And so she came in, and this is a commercial building on Webster and something, 13-story building that they didn't get a permit till the superstructure was done in 1917. 360-degree view except for 2 stairwell dwells and 2 elevators. Now, we couldn't use one stairway, and we couldn't use one set of elevators. We were escorted in by security at 8 and escorted out at 5. Boy, was she surprised, thinking I have a lot more options. So that was kind of entertaining as far as the minutes. I know there was some confederacy of dunces as far as when those presentations were going to be had, and if the public could make comments. There was so much interesting dialogue going on that maybe some people didn't realize that maybe there was a potential health crisis going on. People just continued to talk and talk and talk. And I would have just disagreed with most of what was being said. So going to 19, that's been pulled. I'm glad we have this in writing. You know, I'm not going to quote everybody in the room. Not many people spoke. Who are the most vulnerable? And I would say that's the easily beguiled, because when you stand on the corner and you've got a U.S. and California flag that don't have the maritime court pirate fringe, there's 5 different legal jurisdictions going on. This is a corporation, and you're not necessarily supporting the public like you imply. For example, you guys were all voted in, I'm sure, but you're controlled by an internationally controlled city manager who was chosen. So it would have been nice to just make more commentary. I'm busy. I have a day off coming up on Monday. So I'm busy till then. So enough. I'll probably stick around to see what else is going on. Thank you. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you,
And
sir.
Sandy, the mayor's office has such a beautiful view.
It does. It has a rose garden out at the window. Yes, it is quite lovely. Thank you very much, Mr. Ewing. Happy holidays to you. Anybody else on the item? Okay. We have someone online. We'll take the person online. Good afternoon and welcome to the council meeting.
Good afternoon, Mayor Keeling, City Council. On the bail schedule, I think it'd be great if the city could provide something on the leaf blower issue in Spanish, because a lot of gardeners and yard guys are monolingual Spanish speakers. But I really want to talk about items 22 and 27. Item 22 is a replacement for one of the old diesel backup generators at the wastewater treatment plant, which I fully support. I would like to point out, also City Hall is backed up by a diesel generator as well. It's in one of the parking lots. But I'd like to point out item number 27, the energy reach codes. I went to the plan commission meeting and I spoke.
What we're going to do on that is on the regular agenda, and so.
Item number 27 is on the regular agenda? Oh, my bad. Okay.
Excuse me.
I do want to, I will just.
Excuse me. Thank you. That item is on the consent public hearing agenda, and you will be offered an opportunity to comment on that item when we get to it. If you have any comments on items 6 through 25, we'd be glad to hear those now. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. I will.
Yeah, very good.
What you just said,
we'll be back.
But I do want to.
Just going to do it in
because
order
I was
here.
cut off about.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get it done in order here. Thank you very much. Is there a
No, I'm
motion
not
on the consent?
done. But I'd like to speak on item number 22, please. Isn't that allowed right now?
Yes, it is. Please proceed on item 22.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. So on item number 22, that's a diesel generator replacement for the wastewater treatment plant. And I think you probably all remember there was also an emergency situation where you had to rent a few diesel generators. And I just would like you to keep in mind when you do that the city is making efforts to clean up its energy usage, make it greener. And so the city should think about walking the talk and not putting it all on other people. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the call. Anyone else online? We'll take next person online on the consent agenda. Good afternoon.
Yes, thank you. This is Garrett. Hey, item 14 got snuck into the consent agenda, but it deserves more examination. While I admire the creative zeal and initiative of those who pursue getting their hands on green new Scamola government money, I suggest several readings of this grant still leaves one wondering what the blank they just read. As with all such grant applications, we never see the actual grant application, any specific commitments, the details of the deliverables it's promising, the implied future commitments, or the hard data economic benefit justifications, and so forth. In this case, astoundingly, the deliverables are to subcontract out the invention of the deliverables, with only vague reference as to who gets how much money for exactly what, mentions vague references to Monterey Bay green jobs and regional partnerships, which I would normally object to since they are beyond the scope of the city. After perusing the many hundreds of pages of words in Uplift Central Coast documentation, none of it really spells out any creation of any specific job programs of anything, but sure does project leftist platitudes like equity, climate justice, green jobs, inclusiveness, just mountains of the leftist battle talk. Uplift Central Coast management bio reads like an all-star leftist lineup of social justice DEI warriors, not job creation experts. Implied but not specified is a greater city partnership with local nonprofits, such as the Homeless Garden Project. I'm sorry, but the Homeless Garden Project is a money sink charity that has yet to really prove its objective worth, as in how many dollars produces one organic farmer job, as if any of those would meet the definition of a good job. Private charity is great, but we need more government subsidy programs deepening the cesspool of government dependence, like we need wider street medians to accommodate more homeless spare changers. Who is committing to what here? The multiple layers of bureaucracy here are jaw-dropping to behold. First, the job creation clueless near bankrupt California state dangles or subcontracts grant public money to a similarly job creation specific clueless organization like Uplift Central Coast, who then dangles out some remaining money portion to yet another job creation specific clueless organization, I would say this city, which would then propose to farm out the unspecified job creation definition for proposals to as yet unspecified entities, probably nonprofits no less, as if they know anything about creating good jobs, but sure do know about accepting government subsidies. The only commitment here is to invite the invention of these as yet unspecified ways to spend the money while furthering the leftist agenda of DEI under the guise of Green New Deal job creation from vague entities. Uplift Central Coast may have snookered the state and they're giving them a bunch of money based on unspecified generalities of deliverables, but the city's credibility suffers if you approve a repetition of this vague use of monies and it then proves out to be a worthless leftist Green New scam money sink. The council should ask for specifics of how the money will be spent and demand verification these ideas actually produce good, high return jobs without the leftist political social baggage, justification, and probably discrimination. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor is recognized.
We have one more person online.
We have
for
one more?
comment.
I would like to wait for the next person.
Very good, Madam Vice Mayor. Person online, good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting.
Just a few moments. Bradley Snyder. I wanted to mention about 24 and 25, the EIR and the contract, the construction management services for the Newell Creek Pipeline Improvement Project. The thing about the bats that I've mentioned in the past about how bat habitat's essential to public health. It's kind of an indirect thing, but it is something that I think I don't know. I think that you look at the wildlife egress improvements they do to old infrastructure. I think I'm definitely going to be contacting the California State Department of Fish and Wildlife if I feel that there's any possibility that this project is impinging in any way on the habitat. Natural, it should really be seamless and transparent to nature when you put a project in like this. That's not possible. But still, as much as you can achieve that, I think you should endeavor to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, Ms. Bush? Vice Mayor is recognized.
Now, I would love to move the consent agenda without items 16 and 20.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Brunner. Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmembers Newsom.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Watkins is absent. Councilmember Brunner.
Aye.
Kalantari Johnson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Golder.
Aye.
And Mayor Keeley.
Aye. Motion passes in this order. We're going to take up item 16, which has been, which I asked if that could be pulled, so whoever is dealing with that, thank you very much for being here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. Here's the question I've got about this. It seems like a challenge that is going to emerge over the next several years, where we've got a couple of maybe competing public policy goals as we're moving along here. We are going to, with our downtown expansion plan, lots of folks are going to be housed down there, maybe 3,500, something like that, new residents downtown, maybe more. We got that is the beating heart of our economy, is our downtown, our small businesses and so on. I'm not clear exactly how we're going to take the parking demands and the state law with regard to how, for example, we can't require any on-site parking for virtually any of the developments downtown because of the new state law about not being able to do that on units, on proposals of 30 units or more. I'm going to repeat that for the public. We are prohibited by state law from requiring any on-site parking for developments of 30 units or more, not 30 or less, 30 or more. We're going to have a lot of 30 or more. And we're also going to have what we hope are people coming downtown, employees downtown, so on. I can't reconcile this issue in my mind, but I do have a specific question, which is whether or not the parking district will be able to bond for future improvements.
The parking district as an entity is able to bond for future improvements.
Okay. Can you go to this larger issue that I think is a conundrum for us, for how we're going to do two things at once? Have a downtown that's even more economically viable, a place that we're creating a wonderful, my definition, newish neighborhood downtown south of Laurel, as well as along the river and so on. And yet, we've got this parking question. So
Yeah,
can you help me understand how we can reconcile any of this?
Hope so.
Thank you.
I'm Claire Glogly. I'm the transportation planner in Public Works and work a lot in our parking policy. Thank you. So you hit the nail on the head with some of the issues that we are bumping into. State law has been rapidly changing to support a lot of goals related to housing production and housing retention. And a big one of those is extreme limits on the amount of parking that can be required by a public agency. Within our downtown, we're fortunate that in the late 1950s, we set up our parking district with a shared parking model. The intention of that is that less parking is provided in a given area to preserve land for higher and better uses than parking, because each one of those parking spaces can be used multiple times per day by multiple different trip purposes. It might be someone coming down to Santa Cruz Coffee Roasting in the morning to get a cup of coffee and then leaving, someone who then comes in the morning to go to their eye doctor appointment, someone else comes down, has lunch at one of our restaurants, in the afternoon someone comes down to dinner, and overnight someone comes down to park in that same parking space if they live downtown. We had been working heavily on that model, as you see in your report, in the 2017 to 2020, we made multiple updates to our parking resolution in order to try to get ahead of some of these issues that we were seeing and move from a deficiency fee model, which was paid by businesses into our district, to an in lieu fee model, recognizing that we were going to have development coming in that was not going to provide as much parking as we would require, and gave them a financial way out to pay for that. As soon as we got ahead of that and we felt good, state law changed again and said, all of these uses, almost all uses outside of lodging in general, don't have parking requirements if you're within a given proximity to high quality transit, which is all of our downtown.
Ask you a question very quickly.
Yes.
Is it they don't have requirements or we can't make requirements? Because you just said, I just want to be very clear on that point. That point's really important because it goes to the question of what jurisdiction or authority we have.
Yes, so we cannot require them to provide any parking.
I want to be very clear on that.
For almost all uses outside of lodging. And so we thought we got ahead of it. State law changed quickly. And now we are in the scenario where our in lieu fee, which we were thinking was going to be a financial tool for us, is no longer usable. You will be seeing in the coming months, the Downtown Commission just reviewed proposed updates to our parking rate strategy that do address different user types that we see downtown, and really the specific user groups being customers who are coming to access our local businesses downtown, employees who are employed within our downtown area, and residents of whom we know there are going to be a lot more. And many of the places that they are going to be living that are both recently completed, under construction, or in the pipeline have less parking than historically we would have required. And so we are looking at parking management tools in order to balance that. One of the things that we do know is that overnight during our off-peak hours, we do have capacity in our existing structures. And so looking at how we create ways for residents to use that capacity and have a way for that to work is a tool that we're pursuing. But getting to exactly what you're saying is, as we are having more people coming downtown, we are at I call it the messy middle, and really a friction point between state policy changing, land uses changing, behavior changing, but it taking a long time, and it's going to be, I think, a lot of friction for a while, and we're going to have to work really hard on that. So you're probably going to see us a lot.
Not the worst thing, but thank you very much. Mr. Butler, could you, follow-up question that I'd like to ask Mr. Butler if I could. Mr. Butler, with regard to the downtown expansion plan, EIR, will it be addressing parking issues in the transportation or circulation section of this draft EIR?
Parking is not an environmental impact.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So no.
No, that's exactly what I thought. By the way, that draft EIR is roughly scheduled or anticipated to be released. When is that?
We are targeting to release it next week.
Very good.
Still
Thank you very much for
still
that.
working on the final bits, but we're trying to get it out before the break.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. I think both of these answers, both these comments that the staff has made underscore the conundrum that we are in. I mean, it seems to me that if we build what we were talking about building, and I think we should, to meet our RENA requirements, a whole range of other good policy matters, I think if we build a downtown, workers can't park or can't afford to park, residents have no place to park, tourists don't have a place to park, shoppers don't have a place to park, we go on and on. I wonder about the viability of the downtown, because it raises a serious question here. Now, I understand we have a really good transit district, we have a good transportation commission, they work on this stuff all the time, and that's wonderful. But it seems I want to be very careful as we continue to move along here, that we're not creating something that does not have the kind of attraction necessary for either the residential market or the commercial and retail market to be viable. It seems like if you said, well, you can't require water in any of these. You can't require, I mean, this is pretty fundamental. And so I know that the bone I have to pick is probably to some extent with the state legislature and the governor. But we also have this really good work being done over here by our climate change world, doing all these good things. We are over on this hand, though, playing in, it seems to me, to a hand which is being dealt against us and having a successful downtown. So you don't have to resolve this. This is a much larger conversation, but I wanted to kind of put a marker down where I hope we will return to this time and time again, because it is a problem that is not resolved by the legislature and the governor in a rather cavalier way, saying you can't do this, you can't do that when it comes to parking. Not a question, and thank you for being here. On that item, I am finished. If we want to act on that or people want to comment on that, feel free to do so. Anybody want to comment on that item? All right, is there a motion? Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm asking. Anybody wish to comment on this item? Okay, come forward, please. Thank you, Mr. Ewing.
Like it or not, there's a lot of interesting things going on with this. So a new development of over 30 units doesn't require parking, but units under 30 units do require parking. I'm not asking for total clarification. It's just kind of crazy. So, the SEEDS project came into a concept in this county in 1993 and was adopted into protocol in 97. I don't know the exact dates. It doesn't really matter. I mean, the Club of Rome, 1968, 194 countries signed into this green sustainability agenda and had to create some kind of fiction, like the most important molecule for plant survival and our survival, CO2, which is only 1 part CO2 to over 2,300 parts other stuff. So this agenda is really kind of challenging. I've lived all over the world. I'm very fortunate to have lived all over the world. Worst traffic is in Santa Cruz, by far. And I've lived in Tokyo, Milan, Paris, San Francisco, Palo Alto, San Francisco. This place is the worst, and I think it's all by design and practices. So, I haven't walked into a building in the morning where they have a brick in the door because nobody's electronic key opens the door, but all these superstructures, they are kind of attractive, actually. I mean, I've done some walking around. I admit they are attractive, and the one that's supposed to be slammed in on the corner of what? Front, Soquel? That one's particularly beautiful. But this whole agenda of what is actually helping us and what is ingenuity and what is just kind of a bad joke. How much time do I have? Anyway, I'm almost done. So, when you look around all over the planet in all the major metropolitan areas, The largest conglomerations of the green tools and electric vehicles are at landfills and junkyards. That's how useful they are. Enough said. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone with us online, Ms. Bush? No one with their hand raised.
I'd like to move item 19.
Madam Vice Mayor has
Oh, I'm
moved.
sorry, 16.
Has moved item 16 as recommended. Is there a second? Councilmember Newsom seconds. Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmembers Newsom,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Watkins is absent. Councilmember Brunner,
Aye.
Kalantari Johnson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Golder,
Aye.
Mayor Keeley.
Aye. Motion passes and so ordered. Item 20 on the consent agenda. Whoever is going to be presenting that, thank you very much. Doesn't look like there's a rush to the podium on that one. Who is up on this? Pedestrian safety grant?
Mayor, we have a couple of folks from our police department making their way up.
Very good, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for your good work on our behalf of our community. Chief, thank you very much, and all the women and men that work with you. Ms. Brothers, good afternoon, welcome. Here's my question about this. Look, I like grabbing state and federal money as much as the next person, because basically we're clawing taxpayer dollars back into our community that we're already paying. So I don't have any issue about grants per se. I think they're a good thing. Here's my question about this one. As I understand it, earlier this calendar year, the governor and the legislature passed a bill, the governor signed into law a bill. And if I understand it, it talks about sort of creating red curbs in many places around the state, in cities and counties, for purposes of visibility at intersections. And you may be, okay, there we go. Good, thank you very much.
AB 413.
Say it again.
AB 413.
Yes, and so here's my question. It seems to me that we have a much bigger need for dealing with that it is a substantive issue. There's a law on this. I actually think the legislature and the governor have pretty sound reasoning on that bill. And it would seem like that is a higher priority, at least for me, than what this does. To put it bluntly, I can't see sort of the value proposition in this grant versus what I see as a bigger, or what may be considered a bigger need in this subject matter. So maybe you can help me with this.
Yes, I would start with why not both. Your council has previously, so AB 413, commonly called the California Daylighting Law, requires red curbing within generally 20 feet of any intersection in order to enhance sight lines and improve safety for everyone on the road. In the city of Santa Cruz, about 90% of all collisions occur within 250 feet of an intersection. And this is we call a data-driven countermeasure that directly addresses the causes of those collisions. Earlier, a couple months ago, your council approved grant submittals that the Public Works Department put in that would fund improvements at our intersections that have the highest volumes of collisions to start addressing with heavier infrastructure, AB 413. You will also be seeing an FYI coming to you in the next couple weeks that outlines how the Public Works Department is going to be dealing with AB 413 and our process to be implementing red curbs citywide. In a city that has 134 lane miles of roadways, it's not going to happen overnight, but we do have a proposed phase implementation to that, starting with locations that have the highest levels of collisions, locations that are proximate to schools, parks, libraries, and senior centers, and all city projects and all development projects. So we do have a plan for that. Where I say why not both is because infrastructure, non-infrastructure, education, and enforcement are the parameters of how we get to Vision Zero and how we get to better roadway safety for all roadway users. And the grant that's in front of you today addresses other elements outside of what Public Works does. And so as a transportation planner, the elements of this grant, I think, are very, very complementary to the work that we are doing in infrastructure and education.
Thank you. To your knowledge, and whoever, Mr. Butler or somebody, anybody on this, to your knowledge, do we need coastal commission approval to eliminate parking? We have in the past, but
No,
is this
AB
statute
413.
exempt?
Yes, AB 413 does not have a coastal exemption in it.
It does have an exemption in it.
It does not. We can eliminate parking within, in accordance with AB 413 in the coastal zone.
In the coastal zone?
Correct.
Okay, so when the coastal commission on previous occasions says, oh my goodness, you're removing one over here and we're going to lose our minds over it, but now we're exempt for purposes of this statute.
For purposes of implementing this, I will caveat that within the beach south of Laurel area, we do have a number of parking spaces that we must maintain in that area. So the removal of parking spaces in that area does go, it subtracts from that number that we currently have.
I'm not sure what it was. Please just go
So,
ahead. It's
yeah,
me,
within the
not
beach
you.
south of
Just
Laurel
saying.
area, we are required to have, I forget the exact number of spaces. Every time we remove a space, we still have to stay above that ceiling.
That's a requirement of the coastal commission.
As part of that plan adoption, yes. And so as part of this, the Coastal Commission doesn't have purview over us removing these spaces, but we do have to take that credit as it relates to the number of spaces that we need to maintain in the beach area.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else on this item? Matters back before the body. President of the body.
I'd like to move item 20, and I just, if I may make a brief comment now that you've brought it up. So with the Partnership of Ecology Action, I can speak at least at our school. They provide education starting in TK with Walk Smart all the way up to Bike Smart in 5th grade, and they do weekly walk and roll Wednesdays. So it's providing the education piece that also is complementary, I think, as Ms. Clogley said. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I suspect that in your roles as school principal, you do a lot of this kind of thing, safety of the children. No, seriously, safe routes to schools and all this good work that you do over at the city schools. I will say this, I think if we were, I want to rephrase this. I think an area that is much more fruitful in terms of getting an actual safer community relative to bikes is what I hope we will do in January, which is when we adopt our legislative program, that we encourage the legislature and the governor to get serious about what e-bikes are. They are a motorcycle, and I am willing to debate that issue all day long. And I believe that we should be seeking legislation which says there's 3 things you need on a motorcycle. You need a license, you need a helmet, and you need insurance. And if you're not doing on that, get on a bicycle. And you still need one of those. You still need a helmet. But if you're on a motorcycle, I think a motorcycle is a motorcycle. I'm trying this subtle distinction between, well, it's an electric thing here and it only goes so fast and only weighs, 8 tons or whatever the heck the criteria are, is a legal fiction. It is a motorcycle. And people riding around, especially people who are not adults with no helmet, riding 2 or 3 on this, blowing through every imaginable vehicle code requirement to stop at stop signs and everything else. I don't want to be the mayor that is explaining to the public why we did nothing on the issue of e-bike safety when 2 or 3 children are killed because we failed to even stand up and do anything. Goody for this thing, that's great, good for this. If we want to really do something on bicycle safety, I think we back state legislation to get serious about this. Clerk will call the roll.
I'll second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmembers Newsom,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Watkins is absent. Councilmember Brunner,
Aye.
Kalantari Johnson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Golder.
Aye.
And Mayor Keeley.
Aye. Motion passes and so ordered. We are on the consent agenda public hearing. That would be items 26, 27, and 28. This is opportunity for council members to comment on any of these items on our consent public hearing agenda.
Didn't item 28 get
Excuse
Pardon
me,
me,
item
as a point
28
of
is
order?
continued. 26, 27, yes, sir.
Thank you. How come the public wasn't allowed to respond to 20?
I asked if people wanted to make comment.
How did I miss that?
I don't know how you missed that. Because you're pretty good at not missing such things.
Yeah, but I missed that. So
It's okay.
I accept that.
Okay, it's all good, sir. Thank you. Item 26 and 27, we will start, we will take up items 26 and 27 in one public hearing. Anyone wish to testify on this matter, these matters? Anyone online wish to comment on these items?
Yes, I do have people online.
Okay, person online, good afternoon. Person online, good afternoon. 3, 2, 1. Anyone with us in council chambers wish to comment on items 20?
Hello, Mayor Keeley. Mayor Keeley, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'd like to speak to item number 27. That's the energy reach codes. I was at the the Planning Commission's public meeting when this was presented, and the commissioners had a lot of criticism of the item as it was presented by staff. And it looks like it's unchanged from that presentation. I'll just focus on one thing. It's the 20% hardship exemption. So at the Planning Commission, the staff presented an example, a typical example of a 350 square foot addition that would, the assessed valuation to be $230,000. So in order to get a hardship waiver from the requirements, you would have to spend more than $46,000. And the commissioners, there's only one commissioner who fully supported this. The commissioners were very, very critical because what it's going to do is increase the cost of housing in Santa Cruz. And I think when we're in this environment where we're trying to encourage housing, doing something like this really is inappropriate. And I mean, I'm all for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but we have to do it in a smart way. And this is really at cross purposes. And I'm really puzzled as to how it seems to have come to council unabridged, because I don't know if any of the commissioners spoke to any of you, but it really needs some work to make it more workable. And I mean, housing is already really expensive to build in Santa Cruz. And I don't think you need to be putting these extra burdens on. So I hope that, I know this is a second reading. I apologize for missing the first reading, but I really think this needs a lot more thought and work and maybe some more in-depth consultations with the Planning Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else online? We're going to take Mr. Ewing, and then we'll take the next person online. Mr. Ewing, good afternoon again, sir. Certainly. I'm sorry, didn't hear the question. You weren't at the microphone.
This is for both 26 and 27 at the same time?
Sure.
They're different. Okay, I would like to talk on both. So, you know, as far as the ordinance eliminating the gas-powered leaf blowers and stuff, I would like to think that that's because of the nuisance dust that they put up and also the incredible sound that some of them have. Well, if they're electric, there are some that are incredibly loud, and they still create all kinds of nuisance dust. It's just all part of this control strategy because let's say the electrical goes out. Nobody has gas to do anything. And I'm not kidding, the largest collections of green stuff like windmills and electric cars are at junkyards and landfills. It's because they're not being designed as well as they could. Suppose enough on that, but the same thing, Scotts Valley, all over the state, it's very difficult to get a domestic gas line put in for a new development or LP gas. Why is that? It's a control thing. And I don't know how many people are paying attention to the weather, but all over the world, they are describing the most extreme winter conditions that they've seen on record. And we're having like in 24 to 36 hours, a whole year of snow. And they're calling these extreme winter conditions. Well, guess what? It's still fall. So there's just kind of so much going on. And what are you going to do when your electricity goes out? What are your other options? So rather than, to go back to 26, the nuisance dusts are still quite commonly there. And the noise can be quite commonly there. And it's too bad I wanted to comment on the traffic stuff, but I missed that opportunity. I'll bring it up at the minutes. And this is the last meeting of the year.
Yes, it is.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
I was hoping you were going to have another one like the supervisors next week.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Bush, anyone else online? Okay, we'll take next person online. Good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting.
Yes, thank you. This is Garrett again. Hey, the justifications, I'm talking about 27, I guess. The justifications offered for this electrification ordinance, such as green new scam emission goals, or the very presumptive and easily proved wrong self-interested motivated studies using unknowable distant future energy or product cost estimates, they don't slice bread one bit as justifications for these kinds of laws, including the green building ordinances, to me, which also violate the highest time-honored essential American legal principles outlined in the Constitution. I refer to the banned ex post facto laws where if an action, or in this case, a legal structure was permitted in the past, it should not suffer essentially revoking that permit as long as the remaining existing structure still meets the permit conditions it was granted under. No retroactive laws, please. You ignore and blatantly attempt to violate them with technical workarounds of this base American principle and seemingly only worship the Green New Scam agenda. For the longest time, these American principles were properly applied to additions and remodels whereby existing structures did not have to be brought up to code as long as the new addition did not make the existing structure itself less safe, meaning it changed the nature of the existing structure to violate the original permit. The classic example is trying to put a second-story addition on an existing single-story house never designed for a second story. Physics and engineering says the existing structure would be altered to be less safe than originally designed. In the same way, your green building laws and these electrification laws should be wholly applied only if the addition made the remaining unaltered or unplanned to be modified existing parts to become less green or less efficient because of the new additional green scam codes. In the case of the green stuff, that seems very unlikely that the existing structure would become less green. In the same way, your green new scam energy efficiency building laws should only wholly apply if the addition made the existing building parts become less efficient because of the new addition. This would respect the highest principles of American law, no matter the validity of any other new construction code merits. Such is not the case here, basing the permit compliance solely on an arbitrary 350 square feet of the new addition. All the REACH codes, which should be called overreach codes, which try locally to exceed even the wildest excesses of the state's green new scam mania, are quite assumptive, thinking of a few unelected, they're the thinking of a few unelected, ambitious, pushy, overpaid bureaucrats that think they know better than the state. Now, I can see how the proper concept of less safe, less green, or less energy efficient applied to the existing building portions in a case-by-case evaluation might well require complete, structural compliance, but then justifiably so instead of these unconstitutional arbitrary triggers. For example, somebody wanted to use existing heating system to heat the new addition, might overload that system, making it less efficient, like that. This kind of case-by-case specific reasoning more properly legally would be on solid, objective science, engineering, and constitutional law principles, and not contrived. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Phillip. Anyone else on this item? Seeing, hearing none, the matter is back before the body. Councilmember Brunner.
Thank you. I had a quick question, but I'd like to move the consent public hearing items in 26 and 27 with a quick clarification question for the city attorney's office on.
Just a second. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Councilmember Kalantari Johnson. Please proceed on your motion. Oh,
thank you.
I'm sorry. Excuse me for just a second. Councilmember Brown, I am very sorry not to have acknowledged you. You had your hand up for what purpose?
I was gonna second. It's all good. Thanks.
Oh, thank you very much.
Can Councilmember Brown second?
We're going to have Councilmember Brown. You'll be recorded as the second on that. This being your final council meeting and all. Okay.
I wanted to,
on your motion.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up on a comment from the public regarding item 6 and the bail schedule. And so as it relates to 26, They had asked about the bail schedule being available in Spanish. Does that happen automatically? Or is that something that needs to be requested?
The bail schedule that the city provides is some document that the city provides to the court system, and the court's bail schedule is available, I believe, in both English and Spanish, but I can confirm that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Further debate or discussion on the consent public hearing items? Councilmember, the Vice Mayor is recognized.
I just have one comment on, I've made comments already on 27. I'm going to support it, but I made my comments in the last meeting. But about item 26, I just wanted to make a comment because I've received emails from the public where people weren't happy that it was moving fast enough. And I would just like to say, I know one of the exemptions was with Santa Cruz City Schools. They've already moved to electric, and the facilities department, I spoke with them this week. They were saying they're very pleased with the electric blowers that they've got, and it's actually enabled them to do more work because they can start earlier in the morning because they're not as loud as the gas ones. And so people are moving ahead of schedule in those larger parcels, at least with Santa Cruz City Schools. I know they were them and the city were the two exemptions. So
Very good.
report that.
Thank you for that. Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, clerk will call the roll. Oh, excuse me. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. I too received, as we probably all did, those messages, and I'm very sympathetic to the urgency of the matter. But I think that under the circumstances, this is the right thing to do. And this was one of the first things that I heard about during my first term on the city council. So it's been a long time coming. And I think that with the additional 6 months, that it'll give an opportunity for folks to be supported in that transition through MBARD. So I totally understand, but also want to make sure that we implement this as effectively as possible.
Thank you, Councilmember. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmembers Newsom,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Watkins is absent. Councilmember Brunner,
Aye.
Kalantari Johnson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Golder.
Aye.
Mayor Cooley.
Aye, motion passes and so ordered. We are on item 29. This is the 2024 Development Impact Fee Annual Report. We have Ms. Brothers, Ms. Nutt, Ms. Pearson to be available and to make a presentation. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. All right, good afternoon, excuse me. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Vivian Pearson, Principal Management Analyst with the Planning and Community Development Department. I'm pleased to be here today to present to you the fiscal year 2024 annual report for the Child Care Impact Fee and the Public Safety Impact Fee, as well as providing an update on additional impact fees by direction of City Council. Specifically, the Child Care Impact Fee is for providing child care services within the city of Santa Cruz, as well as the Public Safety Impact Fee provides important public service resources for a police department and the fire department. I would also like to express my gratitude for the Principal Management Analysts from the fire department, Megan Nutt, as well as from the police department, Catherine Brothers, for their assistance for this report, as well as the presentation. Thank you. This slide here summarizes the total collection of the impact fees for the Child Care Impact Fee and the Public Safety Impact Fee across the different fiscal years since 2021. City Council approved these two impact fees in June of 2021, and as required, we returned back with annual updates. In fiscal year 2024, the Child Care Impact Fee collected $21,000, and for the Public Safety Impact Fee collected approximately $37,500. Now, this was summarized.
Excuse me for just 1 second. For anyone who is watching this, if you are wondering if we still have a quorum, we have 3 members present here. We have Councilmember Brown present through video. We took an action to permit her to do that. I just want to say in case anybody thought we just lost a quorum. Please proceed.
Thank you. So normally we would return to you annually on the consent calendar, but we had additional direction to return with potential policy decisions, and therefore this is presented to you here more formally. The rest of the slides are going to be focused on policy options that council will need to provide staff direction on by to provide us to move forward with potential modifications to these 2 childcare impact fee and the public safety impact fee. So first, for council's consideration is the exemption for 100% affordable housing projects for the child care and public safety impact fee. Currently, 100% affordable housing units are exempt. Council had provided staff previous direction to return to consider the possibility of continuing, modifying, or eliminating said exemptions. A reduction in fees can help assist in affordable housing projects and being built, and so therefore staff recommends retaining some sort or some level of reduction. For the public safety impact fee, the police and fire department are recommending removing this exemption. For the child care impact fee managed by the Planning and Community Development Department, we're proposing an option for a tiered level of collection, either certain by a percentage if city council would like. So the public safety impact fee directly offsets costs for services and infrastructure that is otherwise the city would have also had to pay out. There have been 6 projects that have been exempted under the child care impact fee and the public safety impact fee, totaling 453 units. For the public safety impact fee for the police and fire, as well as the child care impact fee, this would have resulted in additional approximately $687,000 for the city. This was not collected because these projects had met the exemption requirements. There are additional projects that are in the pipeline currently. Here in front of you, there are 2 projects, specifically the library project, which has 124 units, and Outdoor World, which has 51 units. These projects would also meet the exemption requirements. Furthermore, there are additional projects that are in the pipeline in various stages of development that have not yet pulled building permits. There are 2 projects here that we put questionable because that may change, but we wanted to bring that to council's attention as well to be able to review these upcoming units that are in the pipeline that again would be exempt from the child care and public safety impact fee. To specifically demonstrate, here is an example of a mixed-use project, the Ocean Street Apartments. So this was built in 2022, and in the 2018 aerial view, you'll see the original buildings. It was 2 single-family homes, as well as 5 residential units, buildings with 20 rentals. Then in 2022, this project was built. Excuse me, and you'll see a total, and you'll see that in 2024, the aerial view of the Ocean Street Apartments, you'll see a few more buildings there. And so it was estimated that this new development increased the density by 3 times, as well as the calls for service from January to December of 2023 with data provided by the police and fire departments. Police had responded to 85 calls, and the fire department responded to 23 calls. Now, that previous slide was demonstrating the potential demand for public safety as an increase in call volume would potentially decrease call availability to respond to other areas within the city. Now, City Council had requested staff to take a look at not only the 100% affordable exemption, but also taking a look at other exemptions. So staff is bringing forth one for City Council's consideration specifically for accessory dwelling units or ADUs. Currently, under the Child Care and Public Safety Impact Fee, all ADUs are exempt. Now, what staff is taking a look at, state law actually prohibits cities from applying impact fees or these impact fees for ADUs that are less than 750 square feet. So therefore, staff is proposing for the public safety impact fee for fire and police to apply the fees for ADUs equal or greater to 750 square feet, and for the childcare impact fee as an option for a tiered fee level for ADUs greater or equal to 750 square feet. So this is your second exemption for City Council to consider. Council also directed staff to consider additional opportunities to reduce fees for workforce housing projects. Currently, for the child care impact fee, and this is only specifically for child care impact fee because the public safety impact fee does not have this exemption. The child care impact fee has an exemption currently to exempt child care in child care facilities. And so as an option, City Council can direct staff to take a look at exempting school district housing projects. So currently there is a project, Swift Street, that the school district is proposing. And so that is something that for City Council to consider. Currently, that would not meet the exemption requirements under the child care impact fee. Another item Council directed staff to return with is taking a look at potentially exploring a public art impact fee. And so currently, how that would look like is taking funds from having an impact fee for private development to use towards public art facilities and installations. Here you'll see an image from the downtown plan expansion as a potential idea. The Chinatown Gate is currently present here in our city. And then here's a picture of activated arts performance space in which this potential public art impact fee could be utilized toward. So therefore, we're asking for City Council's direction for staff to potentially explore returning with a public art impact fee. All right, we made it to the last slide. So here is a summary of options for City Council to consider, specifically for 100% affordable housing exemptions, potentially ADU exemptions, a workforce housing project sort of exemption, and exploration of a public art impact fee. Now, with Council's direction today, staff would need to return with potential modifications for the child care and public safety impact fee. And I'm available here to answer your questions, as well as representatives from the police department, the fire department, and economic development and housing department.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Thank you very much. Let me ask the council members a question. Vice Mayor is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this back to us. I think it was really informative, and you answered most of your questions most of my questions with the presentation. However, I do have one question. Thank you for bringing that example of the Ocean Street project, but I'm wondering if maybe you have an example of a project with similar density that isn't 100% affordable, how many calls to service you would expect on a property of that size, if that's just typical, or if that's because it's affordable, you're expecting more calls to service. I don't know. That's what I don't understand.
Great, thank you, Vice Mayor. I think I'd like to invite the police or fire department to help answer your question.
And I don't know how many units are, I don't off the top of my head, I'd have to look how many units are in that.
Chief, good afternoon. Thank you to the women and men that work in your department. Thank you for your work every day.
Absolutely, thank you. Rob Bodie, Fire Chief. That question is difficult to answer. You know, that one, again, was a snapshot of a year. And again, they do change from year to year. And I would hazard to say that regardless of whether it's affordable or not, that doesn't change our calls for service. I would say that it's more so where they're located in the city, commercial or otherwise, and of course, next to major thoroughfares, sometimes are influential on types of calls. And really, again, I want to speak to not so much the, again, those that are residing in those, but again, it's the size and scope One thing to point out on 350 Ocean and other projects like that, 130 Center Street is a prime example, is that when we build these facilities, the original structures or buildings that are there currently, we can access all four sides from a fire department perspective. So if there's an emergency there, they're single story, we can get a fire engine or a ladder truck, or we can walk around, and if there's a fire or a rescue or a medical emergency, quickly and easily. Now, with these larger buildings, we cannot get around. We do not have the access. We will not have the access at 130. And so what we have to do is we have to plan accordingly. We're going to have to change up our operations and potentially get new equipment to not necessarily fire apparatus, but definitely have to change up some of our game plan, if you will. And so, again, I really want to talk to you about size and scope and how it affects our approach to these structures. But really, it's, when we go into 350 Ocean, you're not just going into a house where the next call that comes in, you can easily exit and respond to the next call. You are extremely deep into that structure. And so to be able to get out and respond to that next call is extremely difficult. So again, the idea behind this is as we expand and these developments come in, we want to make sure that we can provide that same level of service, not only to the new incoming residents, but the residents that are currently there. And that becomes extremely difficult as these larger, more complex structures are introduced into our community.
If I may then, so like my desire for bringing this forward too, and I think it's kind of the same as yours, is it's not about, and it's 63 units, I think I looked it up. It's not about that, it's that the structures are different than what our departments have historically responded to. And I think ultimately the people that are building these developments, whether they're 100% affordable or not, it's developers, and they have funding mechanisms to support that development. And I think that it's really important that we keep the residents, the public safety aspect, the police and fire, up to a standard and a level of service that the residents here and the visitors here expect and deserve. So, okay, so it's increased staffing, increased equipment and training is kind of what you're thinking is needed.
Yeah, and I think it's important to clarify. I mean, a lot of the public safety impact fee cannot go towards staffing. It's really equipment-based. But again, as our call volume increases with the increase of people and the call volume itself, it does provide a lot of wear and tear on the equipment that we have. And so we're going to need to replace it. And the funds that we have had thus far, we've depleted to replace the equipment that has been worn down. And so, again, to maintain that equipment that is being used more and more day in and day out, we're going to need to replenish these funds.
All right, thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you. Councilmember Kalantari Johnson.
Thank you. I have two questions for now. I don't know who, this is going to be for you. What would the typical cost of these impact fees be for your average ADU? Over 750 square feet, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like an individual, like if I'm going to build an ADU and these exemptions are removed. Was that on a slide and I missed it?
That's where we had as a backup slide.
Oh, okay.
So here we
Gotta put my
are.
glasses
So
back on.
it's also included in your staff report, but for example, we provided some examples for different ranges. For example, 750 square feet, 950 square feet, 1,200 square feet. And you'll see the calculation broken down by, of course, public safety versus childcare. I want to call out first childcare. There is a cap of 614 square feet. So you'll see here what that could cost you at most with the cap is $373. Now, for the public safety impact fee, there's a cap of 1,500 square feet. So depending, it might cost you between $473 or up to about $989.
Okay, thank you, and I'm sorry I missed that in the report. Okay, that's not insignificant for your average individual who's trying to build an ADU, so thanks for having those numbers. My second question is, See, so why the recommendation to have the public safety full exemptions and only tiered for the childcare impact fee?
Right, that's a great question. So for the public safety impact, let me go back to that slide. And I'd also welcome Director Butler to also chime in as well. But in summary, we had proposed a full exemption with the recommendation of the police and fire department, given that a lot of these services are specifically that will impact, as Chief was speaking to, was specifically for equipment, whereas childcare, these are some of the costs that are specifically.
They don't apply to all the projects?
Correct.
Mr. Butler, good afternoon, sir.
Hi, thank you, Mayor and council members. Thanks for that question, Councilmember Kalantari Johnson. A key distinction is the direct cost to the city. So the public safety impact fee represents direct cost to the city. If we're not collecting that money, fire's still going to need a new apparatus, and police are still going to need their new equipment and facilities. Whereas the child care impact fee, that's not a direct cost to the city. In the case of the library mixed use project, yes, but that is an exception because we're building the child care facility. Once that's done, in most instances, we'll actually be granting that money out to others, but it wouldn't be a direct cost. We wouldn't be taking general fund money. We wouldn't have to take general fund money to fund that child care impact fee the way we would with the police and fire items.
So could we do something like, if we were to move in the direction of these exemptions, do a tiered exemption for childcare impact fee for 100% affordable housing unless it's a direct cost to the city, like the library project? And have it be a full exemption? Does my question make sense?
Yes, you could, in that instance, you could say exempt public projects. There is an exemption for public projects. So when we had on the slides the library project, let me find that back here. This is the residential component of that. And so the library itself, I would expect is going to be exempt under a separate, for the childcare impact fee specifically, would be exempt under a separate exemption for public projects that are carried out and contracted by the public agency.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions for now. Thank you.
But that is, I'll just clarify, that is what we're recommending, the full funding of the public safety impact fee, but a tiered approach. And that's in part because of in recognition that, we don't want to pile on the fees to affordable housing projects. We recognize their importance and, having some reduction for that would be preferred.
Other questions? Councilmember Brunner?
Thank you. My question was on the tiered recommendation. Did I understand that that would need to come back later with further exploration as to what those numbers are?
That is correct, Councilmember Brunner. Thanks for that question. We are asking for direction from the council, and then we would bring an ordinance back. So we need to do an ordinance amendment. We don't have an ordinance amendment in front of you today. We're requesting that direction, and then we'll bring an ordinance to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Newsom?
Thank you, Mayor.
On the motion.
Just a very quick question. I think this is for Mr. Butler as well. Just looking at what we're looking at here on the screen, is this what is being proposed as far as especially for the tiered? So for the library project, we're looking at adding an additional $175,000 to that project with what's being proposed?
This is the 100%. So if the full public safety impact fees were applied to the 124 units, or in the case of the Outdoor World, the 51 units. And so if you were to, for example, say, I'll just put something out there, a 50% childcare impact fee, that would be $18,000 on the library project and $7,500 for the Outdoor World. The other two, that's the full amount. Yeah.
That'd be the full. Okay, so you'd be looking at, say, for the library project, adding $139,000 to that plus $18,000 or something, or $9,000, something like that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Butler, thank you for your responses. Let me take these two projects as an example. Let me see if I can work my way through them. So on the 119 Lincoln project, 124 units, all affordable, correct?
That's correct. I believe there's
So let me take
one or two that are not.
I'm sorry.
I believe there's one or two that are not, as is typical. They're
Okay,
the
yeah.
Manager's units. But
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But
We call it
generally, this is
100%
an affordable
affordable.
project,
Yeah.
in other words.
Yes.
Am I right that, for example, the law that prohibits us, for example, from requiring on-site parking for projects over 30 units, that doesn't turn on whether or not a project's affordable, is that correct?
The parking exemptions under AB 2097 are applicable whether or not a project is affordable. It applies to commercial, industrial, everything
That's what I thought.
except for essentially that
So let me
hotel
ask you
use.
this, generally speaking, when the state government has said, let's use Outdoor World. Outdoor World, 51 units, so it's over the 30, can't require any on-site parking. What does that save the developer? Because typically, back in the day, prior to the passage of this measure, we would require on-site parking to some extent. It may not be 51 parking spaces, but it's some number of parking spaces as we determine necessary to keep that parking from spilling over into neighborhoods or whatever it might be. That's what we would do. Is that correct? You and I've had this conversation.
Largely, there is, so under state density bonus law, there is a requirement to, there's a maximum parking requirement under state density bonus law. So our parking requirements were higher and state density bonus law required a certain amount. In the downtown, we actually had lower parking requirements. But when you're talking about cost per space, in developments like this, it's going to be structured parking, right? And structured parking, when the rule of thumb many years ago, I think I can say that at this point, was was 30,000 a space. It's substantially more than that now. It's closer to 50,000 a space. And so if you're talking, let's just say one per unit, because I believe in many instances it was one per unit under state density bonus law. In some instances it was 0.75, but we'll make it easy. One per unit, 50 units at 50,000 per space. We're talking 2.5 million, roughly.
So I think we're getting to my point, which is that the state government, since 2017, we're just using one example of a parking limitation on us, which does in fact reduce the cost of these projects by a lot. This Outdoor World, you just told us they're going to save $2.5 million that we could otherwise, prior to 2017 or whenever the statute became effective, we would have required on-site parking. Now, whether we would have required 51, I don't know, but we would have required something. And my point is, I have no trouble charging these impact fees because they're real. One of the ways you have to do, one of the tests under the impact fee is whether you can show a correlation between what you're charging as a fee and that benefit. It has to be 100% relationship. And so for me, if we're giving Outdoor World a $2.5 million, we aren't, the state of California is waiving a previous requirement. This is just one of the requirements that they no longer have to meet. Their project's $2.5 million cheaper than it would have been. Now, my guess is there's all kinds of other things that have happened in these 125 bills that the legislature and the governor have signed to, quote, tear down barriers to development. But not one of those things helped us. I'm not debating with you about this. Not one of those things helped us with childcare or public safety, whether it's fire or police. None of that helped us. And so I have no trouble charging these fees, adopting these fees. I think they make all the sense in the world. Otherwise, we're going down the same path that the state's going down, which is we don't really care about childcare or public safety, whether it's fire or police. All we want to do is reduce the cost. And they have gotten hundreds of millions of dollars in the development community, billions of dollars of relief from the development community statewide because of these acts of the state legislature. And we haven't changed as far as I'm concerned, I haven't changed my view whether or not childcare is an appropriate impact fee. Fire, police, appropriate impact fees. They absolutely are. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Mayor, if I could add one more thing, and that is, I'll just note that some of these projects in the downtown would have had an opportunity to do the in lieu fee. Claire Galogli spoke about that earlier. There's still costs to that. So for market rate, I'm going off the top of my head, I think it's $20,000 a space. And then if you're at moderate income, it's 15,000, low income, 10,000, and very low income, 5,000. So we had tiered approaches. And so, but your point remains, there is a substantial cost savings associated with that. And those 50 spaces, even if they were at the $5,000 range, all very low income, would have still been $250,000, which is substantially less than what we've got in these fees.
Exactly. And we only took one example here. We just took one example of one bill out of 117 or 120 bills that they passed. So other issues such as, I get their issue around, we'd rather have objective than subjective standards. That's been a big thing that they've talked about for years, right? And they've legislated on this. But part of that issue there from, I think, where you stand depends on where you sit. And where we sit as local government, I think we have a somewhat different view of that. For example, I get the objective, subjective, but it also immediately prevents us from getting into what I think local governments have historically been involved in, which is to think, how does this fit with this? How does this new thing fit with this old thing? And we're essentially now out of that business. We can do it objectively, but we can't do it subjectively. And I think that when we look at that, and I don't know what the California Planners Association has looked at in this, but I would be very interested in seeing, in effect, a quantification of what these bills have done relative to reducing the cost for developers overall. I have an idea how you could do that. It doesn't cost us anything. And that is, we can ask John Laird, for example, who is not only our state senator, but is chair of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee this coming year. I was chair of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee when I was in the Assembly. And we can ask any member of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee or any member of the legislature to take a request to them to take a portion of the state auditor's time to answer the question or quantify an answer to the question, what has this 120 bills the legislature passed provided by way of economic relief to developers? Because I think what we're going to find out is that it is billions of dollars since these laws have been passed and will continue on into the future. So again, I have no trouble with these kinds of fees, given what the legislature and the governor have done to make it orders of magnitude cheaper for developers to develop housing in particular. But thank you very much for your.
I just have one thought.
Vice Mayor.
This is not a question, but it is a comment. I completely agree with everything that you said. And when you're looking at the scope in which a property can be developed now with all of the new density bonuses, they're going to be getting that money in perpetuity because these are going to be rents collected for decades to come, at least for the useful life of that building. And I can't imagine that it would be like downzoned moving forward. So it is something that we have to consider. Okay, that was my last rant. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else on this matter? Ms. Bush, remind me if I've gone out to the public or not yet. Okay. Members of the public who wish to comment on this item, this is your opportunity to do so. Yes.
Councilmember Brown does have her hand up. I don't know if she has a question.
Glad to do it. Councilmember Brown, good afternoon.
Thank you. I was going to reserve my comment, but just for the sake of efficiency, since much of what I'm thinking has just been said very articulately by the mayor, I just want to agree with all of those points. I think that we should be looking at, the cost recovery and using these fees for to provide the services that are going to be essential for both current and future residents of the city. I do have one concern that I want to mention because, some affordable housing projects are very close to the bone. Well, all of them really are, but it can really make a difference when the fees are waived for 100% affordable housing projects. And I'm just thinking about the case of the library and Councilmember Kalantari Johnson's question where, there are some cases where it feels like it would just really be robbing Peter to pay Paul. Are we gonna charge the impact fee and then use that to support a project that provides affordable housing? So I do think that there's some probably more consideration around the childcare impact fee, but with respect to the other fees where there's clearly a cost to service, we ought to be collecting those fees. So I just thought I'd share it now while that was what was up. Thank you for giving me the time, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Let me see if there's anyone with us who wishes to provide testimony on this item. And while you're thinking about that, let me see, Ms. Bush, do we have anyone online who has their hand up on this issue?
No.
No one else. Anyone else who's with us? Matter is back before the body. Pleasure of the body. Councilmember Kalantari Johnson is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I have a motion, and I haven't sent it to you yet, Bonnie, but I can. All right, motion to accept and approve the attached fiscal year 2024 impact fee report for childcare and public safety impact fees. Number two, for 100% affordable housing projects, eliminate exemption of public safety impact fee from municipal code. Number three, and I'll send these to you, Bonnie, for 100% affordable housing projects, this is where I'm a little stuck. In a tiered approach, eliminate exemption of childcare impact fee from municipal code unless project poses a direct cost to the city, then provide full elimination of exemption. So we might need to work on that. And then number four, eliminate exemption of childcare impact fee for school districts, for school district housing projects. Number five, return with a public art impact fee. And that's my motion, and I'll send it to you momentarily.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a second by the Vice Mayor. Let's give an opportunity for this to get to our city clerk, who will then put it up on the screen for everyone to be able to take a look at. We just pause for a moment here while she does
that. And I did not include an exemption for eliminating the exemption for the ADU, and that was intentional. And I can share why. Am I thinking through this right?
We're good. We're good. We'll just hold on here for a second.
Okay. So yeah, number three, I invite my colleagues and Mr. Butler's input. I don't know if I articulated that well enough or clearly enough. But just the points that were made, I think we've made really great progress on our affordable housing. We want to continue in that trajectory because, as we all know, more is needed. But I think that this does strike a balance of that. Public art, I think that's a really important piece, especially given that what we want to try to accomplish with our downtown expansion plan and what some of us, Councilmember Newsom, is already working on in downtown activation. So I did not include the elimination of exemption for ADUs because if I'm tracking this right, I don't want to lay the burden on individuals who are building ADUs. Am I tracking this right? Okay. A few hours of sleep, so. So that's it. I think I'll just leave it there.
Okay. There's a motion, there is a second on that, and I'm going to assume that was your opening comment on your motion. Others on this motion? Madam Vice Mayor.
Although I'm your second, I'm going to push back a little on that ADU issue. Because if it's over 750 feet, and we've seen some ADUs that are as big as like a second home, it could have 4 people living in there. We've seen one over on King Street where I don't even remember, we got a call from a neighbor. They're planning 30 people on that property. I think that we should consider using every tool available to us at this point. If they are building this project, paying $500 a square foot, they can afford another couple $1,000s that'll go towards much needed equipment for our departments and childcare. And so I would like you to consider a friendly amendment, adding in, and I think it would be up on, I don't know if it'd be up on 1, if you could just add it.
You could just make it number like.
Or number 2, affordable projects and ADUs over 750 square feet. If you could add that as a friendly amendment, and that's my reasoning.
Okay, maybe.
Feel free to push back.
No, maybe. Let me just ask, I don't know if staff can answer this. What are the average sizes of ADUs? And maybe 750 square feet is too small. Because I hear your point about the 2,000 square feet ADUs that are going up, I think, in many of our neighborhoods. And I think that's a really good point. So maybe 750 square feet is what I'm having an issue with. Yeah.
Ms. Pearson?
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. Although we did not run the analysis for the average, we did take a look for the number of ADUs submitted to the Planning and Community Development Department. So in 2024, in our analysis, we have found that there were 35 applications for ADUs that were over 750 square feet. And we don't have that average at the top of our analysis, but there was about 35.
Yeah, how many under?
So we have been processing about 80 to 100.
80 to 100 ADUs.
So, between 35 and that would be like 45% of them would actually trigger. I was surprised by those stats when I saw them. I was thinking that most of them would actually be below the 750, and they were. But there's a larger percentage, roughly 35 to 45% are actually over the 750.
Okay. If I could try to persuade you a little further, like a 2-car garage, if you converted that to an ADU, it would be about 650 square feet.
Okay.
So it's pretty big, over 725, in my opinion. Have a couple bedrooms.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown? Go back to everyone else. Councilmember Brown?
Yeah, I just want to say that I support the Vice Mayor Golder's friendly amendment on this. I do think that when we're looking at, a structure that is going to be housing, potentially a significant number and significant increase in neighborhoods, people, that the same concerns hold. And so I do think that, another house on a property ought to be included, not be exempt from the fees. So thank you for adding that.
Thank you, Councilmember. Further on this item, Councilmember Brenner.
Thank you. So let's see, with regard to the recommendations and the motion here, I have received support for these items, and I sit on the Public Safety Committee with Vice Mayor Golder and Councilmember Watkins, and you know, over time, we have definitely heard of the public safety impacts. And so I know that these exemptions are really going to be helpful for the city to provide that type of service to these structures as they're referred to, these buildings, these homes, whether, you know, whatever their use and whether they're affordable or not. But all these structures require public safety service. And it's very important as we move forward that those funding mechanisms are in place. And I know historically, I'm glad we had the conversation of prior to all these state laws, these exemptions may have made sense. And I think now, since these state laws, it's important that we continue to assess and grow and redefine our policies around this. We heard that and had that discussion with the prior parking and in lieu fees. So I'm in support of the current motion as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Further on this, council members, seeing here none. Mr. Butler, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to speak to this. I did have one clarification question on Part 3. It mentioned to eliminate the childcare fee and also tiered approach. And so I would like clarification as to which of those two.
I think I need clarification too. So I'm going with staff recommendation, but there's a small change that, because what you were saying is that we're taking the tiered approach with the childcare impact fee because not all of our projects are the city's is not impacted like public safety is. So for those projects that the city is directly impacted, like the library affordable housing project, I would recommend, this motion is recommending elimination of full exemption of childcare impact fee. Otherwise, the tiered approach that you will bring back to us. That's what I'm trying to say there.
Great. And if it pleases the council, you can decide on what percentage that is now, or we can bring that back and you can decide, you know,
Yeah, I have no idea
whatever
right
level
now.
okay.
Yeah.
We can bring it back and
Yeah,
we'll
thank you.
provide some additional examples and
That'd be great.
And then you can plug in that number as you see fit.
Okay. And I officially do accept the friendly amendment.
Vice Mayor is recognized.
I apologize. I do have one more friendly amendment. If we may provide direction to staff regarding a preparation for possible nexus studies for future impact fees. So that would be number 6, I guess.
Let me see if we can make that a little more,
Nexus study.
there you go. Thank you, Ms. Bush.
But nexus, not metrics. Oh, wait, what? Not metrics, nexus, any ex-US. Any ex-US studies.
Everybody good? That what you were looking for?
Yeah.
Agreeable to maker of the motion? All right, good. Further debate or discussion on the item?
Just the word studies after nexus.
With possible,
Okay, thank you, Bonnie.
it is the way the maker of the motion, the second of the motion wanted it to be? All right, very good. Any other debate or discussion, members? Seeing, hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Councilmembers Newsom,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Watkins is absent. Brunner,
Aye.
Kalantari Johnson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Golder,
Aye.
Mayor Keeley.
Aye, motion passes and so ordered. We're on item 30. Item 30 is an ordinance related to accessory dwelling units to maintain consistency with state law and various associated actions. We'll receive a report from Mr. Van Wall and Ms. Stanger on this item. Ms. Stanger, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Are you ready for your presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Great. Okay, so today we are discussing a follow-up amendment package for accessory dwelling units. We were here in October with a previous package, and we have a few new things. So we have basically three things in this package. So first, there were two new state laws that were approved in September, SB 1211 and AB 2533, which I will describe momentarily. Due to the timing of the previous ordinances, it was not possible to include those amendments in that package. Because these two laws take effect January 1st, this amendment package includes an emergency ordinance that includes the changes associated with those two bills, and if approved, would take effect immediately, which would keep our local ADU regulations consistent with state law. Once the non-emergency regular ordinances are approved and in effect, those changes would become permanent. Second, the State Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD, and the California Coastal Commission have collaborated on a new process. When we have an ordinance that affects ADU regulations and is also part of our local coastal program, or LCP, HCD will do a preliminary review of the draft ordinance prior to City Council approval and submittal to the Coastal Commission for their approval. So HCD did this for the ordinance that was recently approved by City Council in October, and today's amendments include several changes, which are minor, in response to HCD's comments. Third, the proposed modifications include removal of owner occupancy requirements for ADUs constructed prior to 2020, as well as provisions to allow the separate sale of ADUs and their primary dwellings as condominiums. These two items were reviewed by City Council in October and are back for further review at Council's request. Okay, so SB 1211 makes three major changes. First, it changes the number of detached ADUs that can be on a site with an existing multifamily building. So existing law allows up to 2 detached ADUs. The SB 1211 changes this and will now allow up to 8 detached ADUs, but no more than the number of units in the building. So if you have a building with 4 units, then you can build 4 detached ADUs. If you have a building with 10 units, then you are limited to 8 detached ADUs. The second change is how the city can review and regulate statewide exemption ADUs. Existing law allows the city to require objective standards as long as they do not preclude the construction of a statewide exemption ADU. SB 1211 changes this and is now specifically stating that no objective standards or other development standards beyond those in Government Code Section 66323 can be applied to statewide exemption ADUs. Government Code Section 66323 is the part of the statute that defines what a statewide exemption ADU is. It defines it in terms of floor area, setbacks, and height. So we're basically limited to those 3 standards that are in the state code. Third, in terms of parking, the state law says that now we cannot require the replacement of any spaces that are removed to construct an ADU. Our ordinance already provides for this, so no changes made in that regard. Okay, moving on to AB 2533. This bill is about legalization of unpermitted ADUs, and this also does 3 major things. First, it further limits the reasons that the city could deny a permit to legalize an unpermitted ADU. And so according to this new law, the only reasons we can use to deny a legalization of an unpermitted ADU is if it has a substandard dwelling issue, as is described in Health and Safety Code Section 17920.3. The law also expands this protection to include unpermitted junior ADUs, and it also changes the date of construction. So under the current law, this affects ADUs that were constructed prior to 2018. Under the new law, This affects ADUs and JADUs that were constructed without a permit prior to 2020. Okay, so in terms of owner occupancy, we are bringing this back because City Council was interested in having a second look at the owner occupancy requirements for ADUs constructed prior to 2020. So our current requirements, and this is what was approved in October, is that owner occupancy is required for ADUs constructed prior to 2020. It is not required for those constructed in 2020 or later. And what is proposed today is to remove the owner occupancy requirements for those ADUs constructed prior to 2020. Okay, and now I'll talk a little bit about the separate sale. This topic was originally brought to City Council on October 8th of this year and is being brought back today at Council's direction. Since this topic was presented thoroughly in the staff report and presentation for October 8th, I'll just briefly recap the main points here. This ordinance would implement AB 1033, which allows a local jurisdiction to implement an ordinance to allow for the separate sale of an ADU and its primary dwelling as condominium units. It would create more variety in our housing market. It would increase opportunities for lower cost ownership housing. The proposal would include a ministerial approval process for 4 or fewer condos. And it also has some provisions for tenant displacement assistance to protect tenants that may be displaced through the new process. So council rejected the draft proposal at the October 8th meeting, but on October 22nd, council directed staff to bring this proposal back before them. On October 8th, some council members shared some concerns that the separate sale of ADUs is a relatively new and untested idea in California. The city of San Jose recently approved an implementing ordinance earlier this year, but we don't have any data on that, and it's really too soon to tell how that is going. Second, there were some concern that this kind of ordinance may affect housing prices in Santa Cruz and could make housing even less affordable here. So staff did additional research, and we found some good data from Seattle, which allows the separate sale of ADUs. It has tracked this data for a while, and they put out an annual report. And they appear to have a fairly comparable housing market to Santa Cruz in terms of price. So based on their most recent ADU report that presents data from 2022, 44% of their ADU permits in 2022 were for condominiums. Their median single-family home price is $1.6 million. The median ADU condominium price was $757,000 based on a sample that they found throughout their city. And the median primary home condominium price is $1.18 million. And I'll do a quick quote from the report. What they wrote was, quote, through a relatively small sample, and that was I think it was 18 units throughout the whole city, we see the ADUs sold as condos create a lower price point than single-family residences, primarily due to their smaller size. This creates ownership opportunities in Seattle neighborhoods where other new homes are generally much less affordable, end quote. So the key takeaway here is that splitting up the ADU and primary dwelling makes both of them significantly more affordable than a single-family home, and would truly open up more options in the for-sale market. Okay, so next steps. If the ordinance moves forward today with a first reading, a second reading would be anticipated for the next council meeting, which is January 14th. Today, we are also have an urgency ordinance that, if approved, would go into effect immediately. And then in 2025, once the formal permanent ordinance is approved, it would go to Coastal Commission. The parts of the ordinance that amend the LCP would go to Coastal Commission for approval in 2025. So here's the staff recommendation. This is the same recommendation that you find in the agenda report. This concludes my presentation, and I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Stanger. Let me ask if there are questions. members have. Vice Mayor's recognized.
Mine are kind of weird, but on the ordinance for accessory dwelling units, the A5, I think I read, it was saying that comp or wood roof. Why couldn't you have like a metal or a terracotta roof? Like why so oddly specific in there? That makes sense? It's describing them?
I don't know. I'm not sure where you're getting the question from. Can you repeat that?
The first attachment, it's called, in the packet, it was called, maybe it was the first one. Sorry, I have to go back through my tabs. No, but it was just like super odd because it seems like the ordinance for accessory dwelling units, LCP clean. The very first attachment. It was like the couple, now I lost that page, pages in. I'm just wondering, it says wood materials shall be composition or wood shingle. And it seems really oddly specific, and the reason I'm bringing it up is it seems like if you wanted to have a metal roof or a terracotta roof, it seems like better for fire protection. And if we're building these things so close together, I'm just wondering why those are the roof. And I don't know, maybe I'm reading this wrong.
Okay, thank you, Lee Butler, for finding that section for me. So this is about the RTD zoning district, which has very specific design requirements for development in that district. And so the reason why this is in the ordinance is that we are including an exemption for ADUs because they, for statewide exemption ADUs, which do not, we cannot apply those standards to them.
What's RTD?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Beach Residential Zoning District, Subdistrict D.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to be so weirdly specific, but I just think in terms of insurability and fire safety, different roof materials are out there. And I don't know why it's calling out wood shingles, which seem really.
Yes, so it is related. So first of all, these are not requirements that are applied to ADUs. That is what's in the existing code for development that is not.
Not an ADU.
Yes.
Okay.
So the reason why that whole section is in the ordinance is because we're making a small change to exempt all of those requirements.
Got it. Okay.
From statewide
Okay, thank you.
exemption
That
ADUs.
clears it up for me. Thank you.
Yes.
It's very confused.
Questions, comments? Questions, comments? This would be the opportunity. Mr. Butler, sir.
I'll just note, it's a very quick search, but I believe that is specific to a portion of the beach flats. So our beach south of Laurel plan has some very specific requirements, and so that zoning standard is likely responding to requirements in the beach south of Laurel plan. Okay. And as Ms. Stanger mentioned, that's applicable to the primary units, correct, and not the ADUs?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone with us today in chambers or online who wishes to comment on this item, this would be your opportunity. Ms. Bush, do we have folks online? We'll start with a person who is here, and then we'll toggle back and forth between someone here, someone online, and so on. Good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. My name is Sharon Strelitz, and I am a 50-year Santa Cruz resident. My husband and I built our ADU in 2010, and a lot has changed since 2010. My husband has passed away. Our daughter has moved out of Santa Cruz, and she and her husband work full-time. They have two daughters themselves, my granddaughters, and as many of you know, it's really hard for two spouses to work full-time and raise little kids. So I go and I help them out. But with the owner occupancy restriction on the ADUs, I can only do that 6 months out of the year. So it really is very restrictive for me and how much I can help out my family. And things change from when you first build an ADU and your situation changes. So maybe this just affects me and my one situation, but there's roughly, 500 older ADUs? Something like that. And so some percentage of those people are having their lives change. Either they have to go into assisted living, or maybe they have to take care of some older relatives or grandchildren, or whatever reason they need to be able to move out of their main home for a while. Then those people can rent out their home to other people, and so it opens up a rental market, some percentage of that roughly 500 older ADUs that you have in the city. So it seems kind of like a win-win to make this happen. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for being here. We're going to take the person online, then we'll be right with you. Person online, good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is Garrett. A quick word on the condo thing. It's very confusing. I own a condo, and the condo concept means basically the ownership is the interior airspace, and everybody owns everything else in common. I suppose you can write, condominium agreements any way you want, but that concept applied to like existing houses and ADUs in the backyard is very strange to me, but I'll just say that. As far as the owner occupancy requirement being eliminated, I would say as a matter of legal principle, I would point out that when permits are issued containing very specific and ongoing, and in this case, in perpetuity type requirements written to remain in force until a structure ceases to exist and was agreed to when a permit was issued, it is not okay in general for the city to unilaterally change those restrictions when applied to those existing permits. It is changing the deal, making that a change of the contract after the ink is dry by one party. I suspect this is why the state did not retroactively change ADU ownership requirements, but only applied new temporary laws starting in 2020 and now extending them for new construction after those expired. They appear to at least have some understanding of constitutional legal principles. That some people who own older ADUs would like to change, have that change applied to them, doesn't make a blanket change to all of the ADUs in the city any more appropriate or any less in violation of basic legal principles. Imagine, if a thought experiment, if it was the other way around and if it had always been expressly permitted that all parcels with ADUs did not require any owner occupancy, and you all of a sudden unilaterally wanted to change it and enforce ownership occupancy, do you think that would fly? No, the pitchforks, the torches, the lawsuits would come out and burn the politicians at the stake. And just note that that scenario is in principle really no different. The calculus here seems to be, can we get away with this? Who will object? Can anyone make enough trouble? We can't get away with this. This is a similarly unprincipled retroactive change, the deal law, like we do on a lot of things. Legal principles are expendable here in this town if special interests, self-interested people show up and show public support. Of course, you only hear the loud voices of the self-interested advocates. The only thing missing here is leftist SJW angles. I'm sure you'd stuck one in if you had one. Besides that issue, parcels unrestricted by owner occupancy are, they're worth more because it attracts more buyer investors, and they are more flexible for owners soon to be absentee to convert their rentals. In any case, the motivation is greed. They see they can make more money at the expense of, their neighbors, really, who, since they're not going to be living there anymore. And I just imagine, was that 3 minutes? I don't know. Sir. Anyway, I guess that's all I have to say then.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you for listening to me. And to address what was previously stated by the last two people, there's two things that were brought up. One was change, things change. And the previous person's assertion of greed being a motivating factor. I'd like to address both of those things. I'm an ADU owner who has not had the owner occupancy deed restriction removed to achieve equity with the more recently constructed ADUs. I've written about the issue and have attended the last meeting about it in October when it seemed the council had given more consideration to the lack of fairness in characterizing the older ADUs and the newer ones with unequal weight. I seriously hope the council has arrived at the conclusion that all ADU owners need to be treated equally regarding this issue and remove the deed restriction. When the initial ADUs were built, we were limited to a much smaller size and setback restrictions, so removing this deed restriction would be a nod towards equity, really, not a full equity. When I first purchased this property, the previous owners who built the home in the ADU were renting it, and I have continued to do so ever since to supplement my retirement income and pay the high cost of living in Santa Cruz. Owning and operating a rental property for people who haven't done it before is really costly. Whether or not the unit is occupied, it costs money. It costs a lot of money, even if it's empty. I won't go into the details, but if you've never been in the business, you might be surprised. This council meeting, including this agenda item, is ironically on the same day as property taxes are due, which I paid today at much angst and anguish. FYI, dude that came before me. And that is one of the many reasons I need this income. I won't go into those details. Should I be required to live elsewhere due to ill health or any other reason, such as the previous speaker, it would force me to leave both my home and my ADU empty and unrented. This is obviously counterproductive to what both my financial requirements would be and the city's professed desire to increase the rental housing stock. For 14 years, I've been dealing with the city in good faith, following all the rules. I would very much like to see the city return the favor, especially on this most expensive day of the year, property tax day. Please remove the owner occupancy deed restrictions for not just the newly constructed ADUs, but for all ADUs. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. We have someone else online, Ms. Bush? We do not. Good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting, Ms. Polhamus.
Hi, I'm Carol Polhamus, and I just want to say thank you, first of all, for being willing to revisit this issue with the additional information that I know you've received from Assemblymember Ting's office and the Housing and Community Development Department, expressing what their desire had been around removing the owner occupancy requirement. I've written you a couple times, long tomes. I'm not going to go over all my points again, but I would like to say a couple things. I built my unit in 2004. It was not easy. There were lots of requirements. It was very expensive. I built a handicap accessible unit also, which added additional expense. There are a number of unpermitted ADUs in my neighborhood that I'm aware of. Those folks don't have owner occupancy requirements. They didn't have requirements at all, and now they will have fewer requirements. So I'm asking you, in the interest of fairness and equity, to please remove the owner occupancy requirements from those of us who did, in good faith, become early adopters and try hard to follow all the rules. I know that one of the reasons that the city even advanced the ADU idea was the hope that it would provide more rentals for the city when we need them very badly, and we still do. If you leave the owner occupancy requirement on the older ADUs, it will actually have the opposite effect, because as people need to leave their homes for whatever reason, long-term care, other people have explained other circumstances, those folks would not be able to rent out their houses, and that is going in the wrong direction. So thank you for your consideration, and please remove the owner occupancy requirement.
Thank you, Ms. Polhamus. Good afternoon and welcome.
I'm not going to reiterate what everybody has said, but I support everything they said. And then I also have an ADU on the west side. And one thing I'm running into, if I were not able to rent both of my houses out, I would also, if I were to leave, I would also have to leave them vacant due to restrictions now with insurance policies and being able to obtain insurance for rentals in Santa Cruz. So being able to rent both of them out would afford me to rent them out and also provide insurance for my house. So I'm asking you to remove that restriction. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janine Roth, and I'm a member of Santa Cruz EMB. I wanted to draw your attention to the petition that we sent in. It was just within the last week and a half, and so I'm here to speak on behalf of the multiple people that signed the petition and are not able to come here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You certainly heard compelling stories, both this time and previously in October, from people about the owner occupancy. Would be really happy to see the owner occupancy requirement removed. We're really glad to see you also work so quickly to be in compliance with the state law. I wanted to speak on the other portion of the ADU sales, and I'm really grateful to the staff for the data that they brought about San Jose and also Seattle, which shows that indeed it does lower the price of homes. And I'm remembering Clara's very compelling personal story from October about looking for a home. And the ADU sale option definitely brings to a place that really needs more affordable home ownership options. It brings that to our community. So I, again, on behalf of many people who can't be here today, so think of me as more than just me, urge you to approve the packet as presented to you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bush, anyone online? Last call, anyone wish to testify on this matter? Matter is back before the body. Pleasure of the body. Vice Mayor.
I would like to move the staff recommendation.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bruner. You may open on your motion.
Unfortunately, I was at that court hearing that week and I wasn't here for this the first time around. And I know, and I'm sorry that Councilmember Watkins is not here because I know we did not agree on this and we've talked offline about that. But I agree with everything the speakers have said, and I did hear Clara's story as well. And I hear from a lot of younger professional people that they don't want to live as beautiful it is in the Anton Pacific building. They would like to purchase their first home. And I do see there will, and I understand, Councilmember Brown, I heard your comments too. I understand there is going to be some growing pains maybe, and there is going to be maybe outside investors making money on opportunities here. But I still think it's the right thing to do, given the landscape that we're faced with. And I'm wondering, and I don't know if this is appropriate, if I could add a number 6 on here, and if you can shut me down if it's not appropriate for this. But I'm wondering if at some time at a future date, it would say direct staff to return at a future date with the ways that we still do have control over our local land use, given the current state housing conditions. And I don't know if it's too far askew from this.
Let me see if we could do this. Let's not associate your concept with this.
Okay.
And instead, why don't we do this? When the legislative program comes in front of us in January, seems to me that's subject matter at that point. If
Wonderful.
we could do that. All right. Fair enough. All right.
I'll leave it there then.
Thank you. Further debate or discussion, Ms. Bruner.
Thank you. I just quickly wanted to say that this absolutely, I believe the data shows that this will provide the housing diversity that we need. And the direction to remove this owner-occupied requirement for ADUs built prior to 2020 is really the equitable policy to move forward on. And it's just the next evolution in our housing evolution and how moving forward. So I think the community needs this, and we can always revisit in the future. Again, this is another example of state laws and impacts and how we have to constantly assess and reassess our policies and grow in ways that meet the needs of the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Further comment? Excuse me, Ms. Brown? Councilmember Brown, on the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just make a couple of comments. You've already heard my perspective on these amendments. I'll just summarize by saying I absolutely support the changes that need to be made to comply with state law. And I do believe that in the case of owner occupancy requirements, you know, there is an equity question there, and I think that resolving it in this way is really the fair thing to do. I've heard from enough people who have particular experiences, like the one, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, the first gentle lady who spoke about the personal hardships related to needing to be on site in your home in order to rent your ADU. So I'm supportive, I've come around, I support that given the changes to state law. However, I am 100% opposed to the condo conversion, ADU ownership sale component of this. I believe all I see us doing here is providing one more incentive to, speculative investors to not provide housing, but get the most out of any individual parcel they can get. And that is going to have an effect on folks who are trying to purchase a home on any parcel in this community, whether it has an ADU on it or not. And it just seems very contradictory to say that in the name of trying to create affordable housing opportunities, we are going to do something that really essentially is going to just drive up land values further, and really create incentives for non-resident ownership of our housing stock. In the previous, when this came before us in October, we were able to separate out the motions. The way it's come to us today, because it's all packaged into the ordinance is both the LCP and the non-LCP, and both of those changes are included. I am going to register a no vote. It seems like the most expeditious thing to do rather than trying to figure out how to divide those out. But I want to put on the record that I do support the other changes. I just can't support something that seems to really run counter to affordable housing goals. And so, and the county, I'll say, the county has opted not to do this at the moment. Their own staff have said it's very complicated and it would require a lot more public input. We're bypassing that. I think it's a shame. But I do support the rest of the package and thank the staff for your efforts to navigate the challenging waters of state law changes, which look to be continuing at full throttle. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Councilmember Brown, if I might ask you this question, and we've kind of been through this on previous occasions, any question that can be divided, must be divided upon a request by a member. Doesn't need a second, doesn't take anything else. If you wanted us to take these items, recommendations up so that you can record a no vote on those that you wish to, and the reason I say this is I think this might be your last vote. And, when we come back this evening, we'll be thanking you for your service, but there's no votes. So I would like not to end your 8 years on the city council in a way that isn't satisfactory to you. So if you would like to have this divided, I'd be glad to divide it.
I appreciate that, Mayor. I'm not sure that maybe we could get guidance from the city attorney on this, but given the way the recommendations in the motion are framed, I don't think it's dividing it would be very complicated. And I feel comfortable just registering that no vote with my words suggesting that I am in support of part of it.
So I don't think we need to go to council on that, our city attorney on that question, because you're not requesting it to be divided. So if nobody's requested to be divided, we don't need the city attorney's opinion. Further debate or discussion on the matter? Councilmember Newsom.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to associate myself with the comments that have been made. I support the agenda item. I especially support the removal of the owner occupancy requirement. For the sale of ADUs, I'm at the moment for going forward with the program and seeing how it works. I am for, providing more affordable homeownership opportunities. With that said, though, I don't know how the program's going to work. I don't think any of us know exactly how the program's going to work. We have some good data from Seattle, but I'd really like to get data on how it's, just on base data on how it's working in the city. So I do want to ask if you'd be open to just a friendly amendment for an annual report just showing number of homes that are sold, average price, sale price, and median sell price.
Sure.
Okay.
Agreeable to second? Agreeable?
Yeah, so it'd be an annual report just showing how many ADUs have been sold as a condo and the average sale price of the home and the median sale price of the home. Just so that we can get some data on how.
Yeah, I'm looking at staff. Yeah, that's agreeable to collect that data.
Yeah.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Council members Newsom,
Aye.
Councilmember Brown,
No.
Watkins is absent, Councilmember Brunner,
Yes. Aye.
Kalantari Johnson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Golder.
Aye.
Mayor Keeley.
Aye, motion passes and so ordered. We are now at the end of our afternoon agenda. Here's what we are going to be doing. For those of you that want to track this, we will be adjourning. We will come back this evening at 6:30 in the evening. We will be taking up a couple of items which will have to do with us thanking our colleagues who will be departing and swearing in new council members. And Ms. Bush?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, we're coming back at 6, not 6:30.
I see. Thank you. Absolutely correct. Thank you on that. We'll be coming back at 6 p.m. And we will then take up those two items, thanking our departing members and welcoming our new members. And we will also have one election item with the new council, and that is to select our vice mayor. And Councilmember Brown, you better show up on the video screen this evening. Promise me you will. Okay, very good. And yeah, right. We will stand adjourned until 6 p.m. this evening. The hour of 6 o'clock having arrived, the Santa Cruz City Council will resume its session and the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members Newsom,
Present.
Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Watkins is absent. Council members Brunner,
Present.
Kalantari Johnson,
Present.
Vice Mayor Golder.
Here.
And Mayor Keeley.
Present. We have established a quorum. I would like to acknowledge the city attorney because one of our council members is feeling unwell this evening. She will be joining us by our electronic device rather than being here. And so I want to explain to you why it is that is permissible. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Keeley, members of the City Council. Relatively recent changes to the state law that is applicable to the conducting of city council meetings, the Brown Act, have implemented a process for a council member to appear remotely when the meetings are conducted in a hybrid form like they are here, and when there's a reason for the council member to not be able to be here present. This afternoon before the council, or this morning before the council went into closed session, pursuant to those recent changes to state law, the council by motion authorized the attendance by Councilmember Brown remotely on the basis that she is under the weather and is being super courteous by not being here when she's sick. So that's the reason why Councilmember Brown is here remotely and not in person tonight.
Thank you very much. We are taking up 3 items this evening. We will be taking up item 31, which is remarks by outgoing council members. we'll be swearing in 2 new council members, and we will be electing a vice mayor for the 2025 calendar year. So we are going to start by, on item 31, remarks regarding our outgoing council members. We are all going to make some remarks about them. We're going to give them a chance to make remarks. But what I would like to do is acknowledge our Assembly Member Gail Pellerin, who does a very, very good job for us every day in Sacramento and is here to provide a couple of remarks about our colleagues who will be finishing up their 2 terms on the City Council. So Councilmember Pellerin, please come, Assembly Member Pellerin, please come forward. Yes, you do. We have needs in Sacramento.
Don't we all?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for the honor of being here tonight. I don't even know what to do this right now. And it's just my great pleasure to be here to celebrate Sandy Brown and Martine Watkins for your 8 years of outstanding public service to our great city here. Just a few things I want to say about Sandy. She has just been a powerhouse when it comes to advocating for affordable housing, renters protections, social justice, and environmental sustainability. Your passion for services for those currently experiencing homelessness and those at risk of being homeless is just bar none, is above and beyond. And your vision for our city to have sustainable economic development has really made a huge difference in where our city, where people are working and living and thriving, thanks to you. So because of your leadership, our city of Santa Cruz is a pro-housing city, and with policies that always put our most vulnerable people first. And it's my great honor to be here today to present to you virtually this lovely resolution for your wall that documents all your many achievements. And it is signed by myself as your state assembly member and John Laird, your state senator. So we will be getting this to you. And I just want to thank you so much for your outstanding public service.
Thank you.
And then we also have one for Martine, who's absent today, and we will be getting this to her. And, you know, certainly Martine made history as being our first biracial woman to serve as mayor of Santa Cruz during her first term. And then she later served as vice mayor. And she has a deep commitment to equity and inclusivity. She's championed policies supporting women, children, youth, and families while promoting equity and healthy communities. Certainly, the most recent passage of Measure Z, a tax on our sugar-sweetened beverages, is really due to her outstanding leadership and work knocking on doors and making that happen. And so our city is a better place to live, thanks to the leadership of both Honorable Sandy Brown and Honorable Martine Watkins. And you really do exemplify that word honorable in everything you do. And while I'm going to miss seeing you both here at the dais, I will not miss, I'm sure I'm going to see you out in our community doing the good work that you are committed to. And it's just a pleasure to know you and to serve with you. And this is Martine's resolution for anyone who wants to see it. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to say a few words tonight.
Assembly member, we always love having you here in the chambers. Thank you for the good work that you do for us in Sacramento. We also, of course, thank our friend and senator, former mayor, John Laird, for his fine work as well. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Let me do this, because we are going to want to go on for a minute here. Councilmember Brown, it says on my agenda that I am going to now acknowledge you and invite you to make some remarks. And you know that we're going to all just miss you like crazy. And we so much appreciate your fine work. But we'll get to that in a minute. This is your opportunity. So, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to say huge thank you to Assemblymember Pellerin. Back at ya. You are an inspiration to all of us, and just love how you lead Through example, you really model integrity and honor and commitment to social and economic and environmental justice as well. So thank you. I'm going to make this hopefully short and sweet since I'm not there to get the vaudeville hook dragging me off when I go on too long. I suppose you could mute me, but I'm going to try to just sum up some thoughts here. And it's been hard to do that, but I'm going to give it my best. So in 2016, I heeded Senator Bernie Sanders' call to get involved in local government as really a critical arena to fight for economic, racial, social, and environmental justice for all of us. And the voters called my bluff and twice elected me to serve. It's been an honor and an experience that has enriched me tremendously. It's frustrated me too at times, but mostly enriched. And I'm really filled with gratitude for the opportunity to learn how the sausage gets made in local governments, you know, from being an academic who does a lot of work up in the clouds to the in-the-weeds work of policymaking, of problem solving. It's been an opportunity to develop a deeper understanding of how political power operates in and through local government. And most importantly, to work in solidarity with those whose voices are so often unheard. From declaring Santa Cruz a sanctuary city for all residents, regardless of immigration status, something I hope will renew that spirit in the coming years, to securing support for the tenant sanctuary program, to try to keep people housed. I've worked to make a difference in while not perfect, these steps, and I would add, including a temporary rent freeze during a politically contentious period when rent control was on the ballot, and establishing a 20% inclusionary requirement for new developments. They're critical contributions to addressing our affordable housing crisis. Mostly, though, I'm grateful for the relationships that have sustained me, the friends and loved ones, the kindred spirits I've met, and the support from so many people out there, many of whom are struggling just to get by in these challenging times, and some of whom have gone, who have been displaced from our community as a result of high housing costs. The work has always been, for me, a collective effort, and there are so many people to thank that I can't do it justice. So I'm just going to speak in broad brushstrokes here. To the progressive activists of Santa Cruz, thank you for bringing me to the dance, and thank you for keeping me honest. I have been inspired working with you all, and you've helped me never forget that power concedes nothing without sustained collective action. So let's keep at it relentlessly and with humanity and kindness. To my colleagues, and I wish I could take the time to say something about each and every one of you, and what a pleasure it's been to work with you, even when we've disagreed. I wish you all the best in the years ahead, and encourage you to continue to lead with empathy and to truly listen to all Santa Cruzans as you make decisions. I do want to share my special gratitude to Mayor Keeley for your mentorship and your friendship over the decades. It's just been terrific working with you, and I'll tell you more when we get together in the coming moments. To city staff, those who make the city run and those who run the show, to the administrators and management, thank you for your patience and guidance over the years. You get a new crop of newbies on the regular, and you have been very generous with your time and energy. And to the frontline workers, I want to say this city functions because of your labor. I hope you will keep speaking up and letting our community know how essential you are, and I will be here to stand with you, whichever side of the dais I'm on. People have asked, what am I going to do now? And to which I say, well, I'm going to continue teaching. Students who inspire me every single day, who keep me from becoming jaded and help me think about what's possible. And it's so important. The politics of the possible really defines how we do our work, what we believe is possible, and they keep me going. I'll also continue to work with County Supervisor Justin Cummings, who I met and got to know as a Santa Cruz City Council member, as a colleague, and I'll continue to serve this community. You can find me just across the mighty San Lorenzo River. And finally, I want to leave you with a more serious couple of thoughts. The cost of housing is crippling our social fabric in this community. I believe that, and I'm not being polemical. I believe that what is happening, the hollowing out of our workforce, working people, the inability to just survive, to make their rents, is really problematic. During my 8 years on the city council, average monthly rents have increased by approximately 60% in 8 years. While I'm proud of the city's commitment to affordable housing and think we have a terrific team working in this arena, if we're being honest, we know it's a drop in the bucket, and we will not build our way out of this problem. The situation facing our homeless neighbors and those at risk of becoming homeless is brutal. Sweeps that move people around and lead to the loss of belongings needed for basic human survival will not solve this problem. We need to use whatever policy levers we can identify or create to address the challenges we face. And the road ahead is really, really daunting, with inequality at unprecedented levels and divisions running deep within our national discourse. Now more than ever, how we treat each other matters. And I'm not talking about policy disagreements, but how we engage with each other as humans. We must care for each other and for the least fortunate among us, and we must act accordingly. Not just be a city for sale, but one that ensures safety net supports and rights for all of us, regardless of income, race, religion, gender, country of origin, or sexual orientation, and so on. And so I'll end with words from an author and activist who I just love, Arundhati Roy. Empathy may be the single most important quality that must be nurtured to give peace and justice a fighting chance. Whatever we do, let's lead with empathy. Thank you.
Councilmember, even though you are not here, I will tell you that there was a rousing round of applause for your comments. I'm going to take just a moment on this because you and I do go back a very long time, almost 40 years in our working relationship in public policy. You, Sandy Brown, are a pillar of integrity and decency. You have a well-defined belief system, and you operationalize that in the public policy space on a regular basis. Your thinking about things is tied very directly to your belief system and your value system. You are very abundantly clear with the public who you are, what your politics are about, what you're managing towards in public life. And that has been an inspiration to lots of city council members and lots of people in this community, not only those that serve in elective office, but serve in other capacities in this community. And Sandy Brown, I'm going to miss you like crazy on this city council. Your voice is a very important voice here. The 2 years I've been here, it's been an enlightening voice, a helpful voice, a thoughtful voice, and I love you every day. Others? Vice Mayor.
Sandy, I have gotten to know you the last few years, or 4 years or 5 years since I've been here, and I respect your opinion all the time, and oftentimes we don't agree, but we can always be respectful, we can take a walk, we can chat it out, and I just so appreciate that you're always true to your values, true to your beliefs, and also willing to listen to other people, and I'm gonna miss you as well, and I think you are a real asset to this body, and wish you the best of luck and hope we remain friends over the years. I'll miss you.
Councilmember Sandy Brown, I know I've already said this, but I will miss our back and forths on the dais on some disagreements. But at the end of the day, I know that we have very aligned values, and we've talked about those aligned values on some of our walks, and I know you're not going anywhere. I know you're committed to this community, and I'm looking forward to continuing to nudge back and forth with each other, you stretching me and me stretching you, and doing the work in the community. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brown, thank you so much for being the historical context and just being the backbone of some of the policy that came into place and was worked on as I came on as a new council member. I really appreciated that you took the time to keep some of those policies front and center and were able to bring that historical context forward, both you and Councilmember Watkins. And some of that was influential in me deciding to run for a second term, and understanding that, the work we do, we continue to lead with our hearts and to do what's best for the community. And I appreciate your service and your strength, and thank you so much for everything that you brought.
Thank you. Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Brown, Sandy, I just want to thank you for your service and thank you for all that you've done for our community. And I just want to thank you for how you've treated me as a junior colleague who's came on the council, or the new member. You've treated me with the utmost respect, and you've worked with me when we've found ways to work with each other. And I just want to say it has been an honor to serve with you, and it has been an honor to call you a colleague, and I look forward to staying in touch in the future.
Sandy Brown, we are also, as I indicated in an email to you, both you and our colleague, Councilmember Watkins, we are going to invite you back here in January so we can see you at the dais over here. And we're going to thank you in a somewhat different way when you show up in person in January. So thank you very, very much. Godspeed to you. We love you every day. Thank you. Councilmember Martine Watkins is not able to join us during our council meeting today or this evening, and we certainly want to wish her the very best. We don't know, but we hope that she is tuned in and availing herself of watching this council meeting. I'll begin by saying Martine Watkins is a truly remarkable person. She and her family, with their great dedication to public service in this community over decades, her unshakable commitment to children and bettering their lives every day not only here, but when she worked at the County Office of Education, and now when she's at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. She is a spectacular individual, thoughtful, careful, intelligent, really caring about the people in the community, but especially about children and families. And her leadership on that is, as far as I'm concerned, unparalleled. And we love her and we'll miss her. And we look forward to seeing her here in January so that we can thank her as well. So let me offer this to any of my colleagues, please, Councilman.
I have to say, if you don't know Martine Watkins very well, her infectious laugh is will get you every time. Her love of pretzels and her, sorry, no offense, her passion for bringing down the patriarchy and getting women in power is something that's an inspiration to me. And I just have so much fun working with her and being her friend. And I wish more than anything she was here tonight. And I can't believe the two of you weren't at dinner with us, the dinner we were hosting on your behalf. So we'll have to have a rain check for that. But I wish her the best, and I will miss her dearly, seeing her every other Tuesday. But again, we'll remain friends for life for sure because of this time together.
Councilmember Martine Watkins and I go back 19 years when I moved back to Santa Cruz, and we were working on addressing high rates of binge drinking with Assemblymember Gail Pellerin. Actually, we were on Together for Youth back then, and now Community Prevention Partners, and that's how I met Councilmember Martine Watkins, and it's been a go since then, since 19 years ago. Martine, you are an inspiration. Your deep love and commitment to the children and youth in this community and the innovative policies that you have not only brought to our community, but have just set things in motion for the rest of the state, and in some cases the rest of the country, is a true inspiration, and an inspiration for me to step into this space and run 4 years ago. And you are also not going anywhere. So we've got a lot of really fun things to do together on and off the dais. I'll be on the dais for 4 more years. You're not on the dais, but we're going to get to do some fun stuff together. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your work, and looking forward to more fun.
Thank you. These words are so wonderful. Councilmember Watkins, Martine, thank you so much for all that you have brought to this dais, to our work, to the policies. I've sat on the Health and All Policies Committee with you, and that in part was brought about originally by some of the work that you stewarded forward, and it really spoke to me as I was running in 2020, and I'm just so proud to be able to carry on that work, and sitting on the Public Safety Committee with you, and really just learning how you approach the health and well-being of all of our community and the people in our community. I really, truly appreciate it, and appreciate, again, as I told Councilmember Brown, the historical context that you brought to this space for us as we came in as new council members. I hope that, both of you will pop by every now and then for oral communications or public comment, and continue to give us the benefit of your wisdom and experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown, comments to your colleague.
Thank you. Let's see, Martine, I hope you are listening, because I really want, and I'll tell you this when I see you, but I want to say it's been a real pleasure working with you, being part of that cohort. We came in together as newbies and have made our way through eight years together on the council. And I definitely ditto the comments about the infectious laugh. I just, it's wonderful to have that energy in the context of some really daunting, policy work that we do, or challenging policy work. And what I love most about you, Martine, is your ability to really take a vision and run with it and make things happen, how to be effective in local government. We come in here and we don't get a magic wand, and there's often not a lot of space for new initiatives, new programs, and you have found a way to make that happen for the constituencies that you are most moved by, for children. And it's been delightful to see you grow over the years and to see the impact that you've made in the city.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Newsom.
Thank you, Mayor Keeley. Councilmember Watkins, Martine, I just want to thank you as well for your service and for all that you've done for our community, especially for children and for families in our community. And I also want to thank you for the way you've treated me as the new member of the council, showing me respect and being able to work with you and being a role model. And it's been an honor to work with you and an honor to call you a colleague, and I will miss your laughter as well. Thank you.
It is my understanding, I have been advised that Congressmember Panetta has a representative here who would like to make comments, so you are certainly welcome to do so. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you. Good
Please thank the congressman for us for all the good work he does for us. He has done amazing good work, a lot of it in the area of funding that we've needed over the years. Please thank the congressman for that.
Thank you. I'll absolutely pass that message along, and thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Tana Rowland from the office of Congressman Panetta, and unfortunately, Congressman Panetta was not able to be here with us tonight, but I have the honor to be here to recognize Council Members Brown and Watkins on his behalf. And so with that, I'm presenting two certificates of congressional recognition, one for Councilmember Sandy Brown, and one for Councilmember Martine Watkins. So thank you both for your service to our community. We greatly appreciate it over here at the office of Congressman Panetta, and to you all as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are going to move to item 32. And this is the item where we will be swearing in new council members and swearing in others who have been reelected. And so what we would do is I will turn the proceedings over to our city clerk, Ms. Bush. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. If I could have Councilmember Triguero and O'Hara. As well as Kalantari Johnson and Bruner. I state your name.
I, Shelby Calendar Johnson,
Do solemnly affirm.
do solemnly affirm
That I will support and defend.
that I will support and defend
The Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That will bear true faith and allegiance.
that will bear true faith and allegiance
To the Constitution of the United States.
to the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely.
and I take this obligation freely
Without any mental reservation.
Yes.
without any mental reservation
Or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And I will well and faithfully.
and I will well and faithfully
Discharge the duties.
discharge the duties
On which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you.
New council members, welcome. Congratulations on your election. Welcome to the city council. We going to be a wonderful city council with you here. We're very happy to have you. Thank you so much for running and going through the process of an election, which are always challenging. And your dedication to serve for 4 years on the city council, we're very grateful to have you here. Let me start with Councilmember O'Hara, if you would like to make some remarks.
Thank you, and I think the most important thing, my parking permit is here. Thanks for delivering that right after the swearing in. Thank you, Mayor Keeley, for the introduction and the opportunity to share a few remarks. Especially thanks to everyone here on the dais for allowing Gabriella and I to have some opening remarks here. I want to start with my most important message, and that is of appreciation. Thanks to those that helped me get elected, that believed that I could come back to the city and contribute and serve. My campaign manager, Laura Noble, who sits out there with her husband, sits at the top of a long list of supporters who gave me the confidence, wisdom, and patience to walk countless miles, knock on countless doors, and talk to countless District 5 voters, amongst others. Thank you to my family, especially my husband, Matt, and our 3 daughters, none of which are here tonight. One's working at Shoppers Corner, and one is in Italy, and another one is in DC, so they've got more important things to do. For your unwavering love and encouragement. My heart for serving Santa Cruz beats because you love this community as much as I do. I'll end with some reflections on being a city council member and how I plan on serving. Last year, I listened to an interview with Presidents Obama, Clinton, and Biden. Each of them reflected on the service mindset, especially how to serve with people and community at the center. Obama's words rang really true for me. He said something like this: when you're in elected office, you essentially are a relay runner. I forgot to put my glasses on. I was wondering why things were looking like, okay, that's better. Let me start over. When you're in elected office, you are essentially a relay runner. You've taken a bunch of problems from the previous presidents. We're looking forward to that. You're working through them the best you can, and you're running the best race you can. Then you hand it off. During that time when you have the baton in your hand and you're running, if you're focused every day on how can I make things just a little bit better, because you're not going to make them perfect. There are too many problems and they're too hard. But if you can make them a little bit better, then a lot of people are helped. I like to think of Martine and Sandy and the many council members before them handing off the baton to Gabriella and me. Martine and Sandy have run a tremendous race. We've heard it tonight over the last 8 years, and certainly focused on making things a little bit better for many in our community. During my leg of the race, I'm committed to continuing Martine's efforts to prepare every child and every family in Santa Cruz for success. I'm also committed to continuing Sandy's efforts to support our workforce and our community seniors. These outgoing council members served as the voices for our youngest and our oldest neighbors during their time on council and made an incredible difference. But I also share Don Lane's commitment to our unhoused neighbors, Cynthia Chase's focused attention on housing, David Terras's investment in our neighborhoods, Cynthia Matthews' vision for improving our library system, Mike Watkins' push to diversify our water supply portfolio, Ryan Coonerty's work to partner with the county to provide jail diversion and treatment for those stuck in the revolving door of the criminal justice system, and Hillary Bryant's resilient leadership in the face of incredible community challenges. Each council member has a legacy, and if viewed independently, each council member before me made things just a little bit better. But if viewed collectively, our council has transformed our community in tremendous ways. So I'm honored to run my leg of the race, to be holding the baton for the next 4 years. Do not expect a sprint, rather a steady marathon. I plan to be patient, listen, and learn as I run this race. I plan on focusing every day on how to make our community members' lives just a little bit better, or a lot better if those opportunities present themselves. And I'm sure they will, because we're Santa Cruz and we tend to push boundaries and try really hard things. So thank you again, Mayor Keeley. We do have a long history together of work, and to all my new colleagues, and especially Gabriella, who's serving as a new colleague with me tonight. for providing this opportunity to share my thoughts. I appreciate being part of your team and look forward to running this race together.
Thank you. Councilmember Triguero, good evening. Welcome to the council. We'd be very interested in your remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight as I step into this role. Truly grateful for the trust you've placed in me as I deepen my commitment to our community. And to my neighbors and friends who supported me in this journey, thank you. Some of whom are here tonight. I want to acknowledge the first person to give me a job in Santa Cruz, Barbara Lawrence, my mentor, Dr. Eileen Feynman, and my closest friend, local songstress, M. Legier. They're all here tonight with me. I also want to acknowledge my fellow council members and those who came before us in their service to our community. The work we do is a continuation of that commitment that so many have had made to Santa Cruz, as Susie mentioned just now, and I'm honored to contribute to this legacy. We face pressing issues in our community: housing, economic equity, safety issues, but also tremendous opportunities to grow in ways that honor our values here. These challenges have shown us the importance of resilience and adaptability. They've also underscored the need to take care of those who carry the weight of these crises, particularly our essential workers. As a former commissioner for the city's Commission for Prevention of Violence Against Women, I learned that safety goes far beyond physical spaces. It's about creating a sense of belonging and inclusion for all. We know that not everyone in our community feels safe. Not at home, perhaps, not at work, or in public places. It is our shared responsibility to ensure that they are seen, heard, and supported. It's the resilience and care for one another here in Santa Cruz that inspires me to serve. I aim to foster a culture where every decision reflects shared values and aspirations, and I look forward to serving along all these others to challenge norms, to push for a more inclusive and more resilient community, as I've strived for in the past. As we continue to move forward, I remain committed to shaping a community with transparency, compassion, and a commitment to inclusion, true inclusion. My vision is for a city where every voice matters, where we build not just for today, but we build for generations to come. This means investing strategically in services and creating a culture of inclusion and compassion that uplifts the most vulnerable amongst us. I invite you all to continue to stay engaged. Your voice is essential, as it has been in my time already. And I look forward to shaping the future of Santa Cruz with you, whether it's you attending meetings like these, volunteering your time, or sharing ideas with us. I'm honored to serve you. And I'm ready to listen, learn, and lead with authenticity, compassion, and together we'll continue to navigate challenges, embrace opportunities, and ensure that Santa Cruz is a community where everyone has a voice. And tonight, I am absolutely filled with hope and determination, and I look forward to working alongside all of the people that I'm seated with now to help build a thriving and inclusive Santa Cruz. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to give Councilmember Brunner and Councilmember Kalantari Johnson, who were sworn in now for their second terms, give you an opportunity to speak as well. Councilmember Brunner, congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. I almost want to start with a brief outgoing remark. Today marks the end of my first four-year term, and that to me is pretty significant. And it's not marked with a formal recognition, because I'm continuing on for another 4 years. But as I reflect back on this last 4 years, I am just so grateful for all of the work, all of the people in the city, my neighbors, my friends, city employees, city staff, my colleagues here on the dais, even former colleagues here on the dais, as we have all worked really hard to uphold a healthy community and to work towards making things better for everyone. And as a second-term council member, I am so dedicated and committed to continuing, and I think I mentioned it earlier, to leading with love. I think that is my grounding place of wanting to serve this community. And there are so many people that reach out to us on a daily basis. And I think the first 4 years, I came in, I really felt that my voice would be representative of a lot of people I hadn't seen on city council before, as a single parent, a single mother, as a Black woman, as a renter. I was low income. I've lived in public housing. I want to continue working towards policies and programs and upholding this community in ways that we are all heard and represented. And I am really excited about, now that we are in this new district, city district role, I am now a District 2 council member. And so I've had this entire city in my scope as vice mayor, as mayor, as council member at large. And it's so different to shrink it to a district. Who's here from District 2? Raise your hands. There's my District 2 folks. Thank you so much, District 2, for believing in me, for seeing how hard I work to represent the people of Santa Cruz and the community. Thank you for re-electing me to serve District 2. I want to let everybody know that I have been working with the city manager on really establishing some evergreen policies as we migrate into districts, and started a spreadsheet of identifying what is in my district. How many churches? How many hotels? How many EV chargers? Grocery stores? Banks? How many schools? Daycares? What's in my district? How many parks, places of interest? I think this is really important work as we move forward and focus our representation to districts. It's important to understand how we can represent our districts and continue to also represent the city as a whole, because as you all know, a lot of policy is citywide. A lot of amenities that might be in one district, we all know the entire city may enjoy those amenities. And for example, West Cliff Drive, right? This amazing coastal amenity that the entire city enjoys. And so I recently had my first District 2 open house, and I invited each department at the city to come and speak to some of the projects that are happening and upcoming projects that are happening in District 2, as well as resources for communities and neighbors there to really understand. And please reach out to me if you'd like to be included in my email list and for further updates. I hope to do that at least once a year. I know that a lot of my District 2 going forward so far, traffic, pedestrian safe route to school safety concerns are really one of the top priorities, as well as the continued work towards housing. I'm really proud of all of the work in housing. We have 1,100 low-income, below-market homes being built right now. And, you know, all of my past experience on the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners and all of the work here at the city in meeting our RHNA housing goals, we still have more work to do, and we continue to move forward. So I hope to continue to work in those spaces, to work with you all, and to really just continue doing the best that I can do to represent all of you. Thank you so much to, I want to give a special shout out to my good friend Leah Kahn. Nicole, you were also there, and Melissa Begin. I know that there were many hours of walking, and I had so much help from many friends and many neighbors who assisted in knocking on doors and reaching out to everybody. And I don't think people realize the campaign process that it takes to reach this point. It's like another job. It really consumes you. It requires a lot of work. And I'm just grateful for all the support, and I really take it seriously. And I'm also extremely happy to be now the old timer here on council as we move forward, and that my colleague Shebra Kalantari Johnson here, we were elected together in 2020. And so it was really encouraging to know that she also felt strongly about running for a second term. There's so much work that is in progress, and once you're here, you want to see it through. And once you're here, it's so much easier to serve that second term and then step off. So I'm looking forward to the next 4 years, 2028. And thank you to the new council members that are here. Thank you to my colleagues for working with me. And there are so many accomplishments that we have achieved over the years. And I'm just so grateful to really everybody. And thank you to the city employees, from our temp employees and department heads and everybody that continues to run this city. It's so amazing. And I loved the analogy about the sausage being made in government that Councilmember Brown made. So thank you. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years.
Councilmember Kalantari Johnson, congratulations on your reelection. It's wonderful to have you for another 4 years serving on this city council. This is your opportunity to make remarks.
Thank you. I just want to invite a moment of stillness. Just a moment. To really take in all the words that you've heard over the last however long we've been sitting here. That is our alignment. That is why you are here on a Tuesday night at almost 7 p.m. That is why I am here. That is why we are all here, is because we share this deep love, this deep commitment to our little Santa Cruz, California, that I feel so eternally grateful to have the opportunity to call my home. So I just want to start with that. We're here because of that shared commitment and shared love. Some acknowledgements of how I got here. My family, my boys Dariush and Shine, who are also not here, Councilmember O'Hara, playing basketball and soccer at Santa Cruz High, I imagine. My husband, Brian Johnson, who is here, his patience, a lot of patience, and his support for this journey. My sister, Shahriar, and my parents, Reza and Fania, who are here tonight, who weren't able to be here 4 years ago because it was 2020, and guess where we all were? In our living rooms. The sacrifices that you made have brought me here to this very moment. My friends, so many of you who are here, my neighbors, my community, and that's really all of you. The volunteers, like you said, the campaigns are hard. Woo, and I've had 4 in the last 3.5 years. I think I know better than anyone. They are really hard. The city staff, the city team, the work that you do day in and day out. I mean, you're responding to my texts at 6:55 in the morning, your leadership, City Manager Matt Huffaker, it really makes this all work. The work that you all do from all levels, it's been said before, all levels of city staff, it's what makes our policy development be able to be actualized, because we can make all the policy we want, but the implementation, the operationalizing falls on city staff that work day in and day out. So just acknowledging and thanking you. Mayor Keeley, your last 2 years of just showing us what it looks like to have an at-large elected mayor has been a great learning experience, and I'm deeply grateful for setting that precedent for us. All of my council colleagues who are here and not here, Councilmember Watkins and Brown have already heard, you do make it fun. You were saying fun at dinner, and I was like, really fun? But you do make it fun. You make those really tense moments where we're not agreeing, and Councilmember Brown and I are like, no friendly amendment, yes friendly amendment. You do make it fun. You all do make it fun. You make this really doable. You make this doable. And to my new council colleagues, I know both of you from different spaces, and I'm so looking forward to the sausage making with you over the next 4 years. And those who came before us, I think you named some really great names, Councilmember O'Hara. I won't name them all, but You've tilled the soil for us. You've created a really rich soil for us to serve in, and I want to thank you for that. Really, the big acknowledgement comes to the residents of the city of Santa Cruz. The last 4 years have not been easy, right? Coming out of the pandemic, and then the 2 storms, and then, we're losing our West Cliff, and lots have been thrown our way. And I can sit here and talk about what I think I've contributed to, and I'm not gonna do that. Well, I'll name a couple, but it's really, you've all shown up. You've all come and said, this is what's happening on West Cliff, and this is what I'm thinking. You've shown up to Metro Board meetings and said, well, this route, I'm looking at one of you in particular, this route's not working so well, and here's what I'm thinking. You've come to speak about housing projects that are contagious. You've educated me about how state laws work. You've come and spoken about homelessness and what's working, what's not working, what we can try and do differently. You've given me your ideas about how we can have economic revitalization and economic vitality in this downtown that's ever changing. So it's about you. It's about you sharing your thoughts, your ideas, because they're not all in here, trust me. It happens with our thought partnership. It happens when you come to us and you share your ideas and you nudge us and you say, we're not happy with how this is going, or we are happy with how this is going. So I want to acknowledge all of you for your continued engagement. If you're not so engaged, I invite you to please engage, and if you're not happy, then we won't know, right? So please engage, please continue to reach out. Thank you for trusting me 4 years ago and putting me into office. Thank you for trusting in me again to serve you another 4 years. It's really my deep honor to do that. I am committed to listening deeply. I am committed to being available to meet with you. I think many of you in this room I've had coffee dates with. I'm committed to continuing to do that. And I'm committed to solving the problems with you. I think someone else said it. None of us have the answer. None of us have the answer. I certainly don't have the answer. But I have a commitment. I have a commitment to you. I have a commitment to our community, and I know you do as well. So I'm committed to problem solving with you. And I think I'll end with a quote that I heard at a recent conference that really took me. Just in the light of the last couple months and what's happened, this really resonates. So I'm going to end with this quote. It's a quote by Rabbi Sachs. And he says, "Optimism and hope are not the same. Optimism is the belief that the world is changing for the better. Hope is the belief that together we can make the world better. Optimism is a passive virtue. Hope, an active one. So I choose in this moment and for the next 4 years to lead with courage and to lead with hope. And I invite you all to join me."
Thank you, Councilman. We're on item 33. This is the election of a vice mayor for calendar year 2025. The nominations are open. The vice mayor is recognized.
I would like to nominate my colleague Shebra Kalantari Johnson. I think she is a tremendous leader. She's a friend, and I appreciate having had this opportunity for a couple of years. And now I realized I am the oldest timer.
Oh my goodness.
You might think you are. I am. But now, I'm just so honored to have got to know you and become your friend, and I have nothing but the utmost respect and trust in everything that you do and believe in. And so I'd like to nominate her.
Very good.
And top that.
Second.
Yeah, second.
There's a motion and a second under discussion. Council members, first I would like to thank you, Madam Vice Mayor, 2 years as Vice Mayor. Thank you for being so supportive of this office and providing assistance when it's been necessary. Thank you very much for doing that. Councilmember Kalantari Johnson, I suspect you're going to win this vote. And I want to thank you. Look forward to our work together. Further comment? Further comment? Clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Triguero. Aye. O'Hara. Aye. Newsom.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Kalantari Johnson.
Just kidding, aye.
Vice Mayor Golder.
Aye.
And Mayor Keeley.
Aye. Motion passes and so ordered. Congratulations. Mr. City Attorney, further business to come before the body.
There is none.
Madam Clerk, further business. And hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order. Now be very careful, because there's one person on our city council. She will not brook anyone making a motion to adjourn except herself. Madam Vice Mayor, do you have a motion to make?
So moved. Let's get out of here.
Motion to adjourn. It is non-debatable. It's seconded by every other member of the city council. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Yeah.